Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. I'm Gimli, and tonight my guests are... First up, he's the man in charge of the knobs. It's Danny the GFP. Hello, Danny.
Oh, good afternoon, you cheeky little monkey. I hear you have a lovely collection of pebbles that you're not willing to share.
Don't tell them.
No, but you're going to draw faces on them and flock them on eBay. That'd be great. That's a thing, isn't it?
I was going to Tipex a load of crabs like they did on Derek.
Oh,
just write rude words on them.
And then we could sell them to people, and then people could just, when they see John Welsh walking around, they could just throw crab stones at him.
I was going to call one John. Not that that's offensive, but...
Yeah, just don't ask, are there any women here? Because they'll all go, no. Oh, that's one for the dads.
How's your week been? Have you been up to much? I'm guessing not, seeing as you're housebound.
I'm not left the house since November. It's too bloody cold. And I thought I'll have a bath tomorrow. No, it's too cold. Next day, it's too cold. So the day I decided to have it, it's -3 outside. I nearly died going from the bathroom to my bedroom. I was like an icicle. It's horrible. And I've been coughing up green. That's like my voice sounds like my balls.
Do you have to use the icer on your wheelchair? Like when I go to the car in the morning and it's fucking... I had to scrape the windscreen with a game card the other day. It was that bad. I didn't have a little scrapey thing. Do you have to use that just in case you get seized up, or is that WD-40?
I do need a little. We call it monkey spunk. I need a little bit of monkey spunk for my front wheel. What I want to do, I want to get the council around so that they build my bath at the top of the slide and then my bed at the bottom of the slide. So when I'm done, I can just slide into bed and I'll be done.
Because I can imagine at occasions it might be quite annoying to be you. Like when you go to Tesco's, and I always pick that one fucking trolley that's got the wheel that goes on the front. It feels like you got fucking Parkinson's or something.
Oh dear, I love it when I get out of the van and Sean and her mum, we go up in the van, park outside of Tesco's or park in Huntingdon, and then when they've got to wheel me out backwards down the ramp, I grab hold of the seatbelt and start screaming minibus.
Jesus, we're painting a picture. We're painting a picture tonight.
It's so embarrassing for them.
Remind me never to come up and see you. Next up, Le Quiff. It's Simon Collings. Hello, Simon.
How you doing, Gim?
I'm all right. I'm to be honest with you, Simon, I'm destroyed from what I've seen in that WhatsApp group this afternoon.
Yeah, it was a dark time, I think.
I mean, would you like to tell everybody why you were wearing a Chelsea polo shirt?
I was on a holiday.
Pissed, no doubt.
Pissed, yeah, and just unfortunately lost a bet with some Chelsea fans and it was going to be either them wearing an Arsenal shirt or me wearing a Chelsea shirt. Pretty horrible because it was 35 degrees and it was like putting a fucking bin bag on, sweating my arse off with a hangover. And it was only slightly made better because the next day we beat him in the cup final. But other than that, it was pretty traumatic.
One could only imagine what bet it was you lost, seeing as it wasn't as like on the game. You said it was before the game. I mean, what did you do? Was it to see how many brasses you could pick up on the strip?
No, if it was that, I'd have 100% definitely lost. But no, it was just a bit of golf. So quite a tame bet, but ended up with a horrible consequence. So
you have such a lovely life.
I know the lesson is for kids: don't bet, don't gamble.
See, I was sat there in a cold sweat for 1 second, thinking that you could have possibly been a football catfish, and you weaseled your way on our show.
Yeah, that is not the case.
No,
sure people.
Right, let's go to our next guest. Next up, ABW's resident gent. It's Goonaholic David. Hello, David.
Hello, Gimli. Thank you very much for inviting me along again. I'm in good company tonight, aren't I?
Yeah, you're bringing the respect tonight. Aren't you? You're up in the levels.
You're always too kind. You're gonna have to start giving me grief like you do, Danny.
You don't get that
just as much.
You don't get that until you've been here for at least 2.5 years.
Oh, okay. Have I not done that yet? No, I probably haven't.
Yeah, I mean, you're close to it. So, I mean, the nastiness will come out soon. But there's really very little I can pick up on. You're just such a nice bloke. Not like Danny is an arsehole.
You're quite rude.
Harsh, very harsh.
Just looking at the numbers, David, this is your 40th appearance on ABW. The first one was number 79, and this is number 225.
Blimey. It seems like yesterday.
We're all the better for having you here.
You're not sure it's dragged?
Nah, don't be silly. It's good fun.
Oh, it is, certainly is. And finally, coming to a home near you to absolutely strutter the shit out of it. It's Gav from She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. Hello, Gav.
How you doing?
Yeah, It's nice to have you back, fella.
Yeah, no, it's good to have a chat, mate. Very, very good.
Always someone that goes down well with the good listeners of ABW. They like your they like the cut of your jib.
Just say it how I see it, mate. Just say it how you see it.
And the good news is you've now overtaken FK.
Yes.
With 35 as
in your face, FK. In your face.
So that's the most of anyone else after you two.
The Arsene Wenger rimming like whore, who's unfortunately, since his appearance on AFTV,
has he gone full Neuer?
Oh, he went. I don't know. I just don't know. I know we had Lee Judges from, and I wouldn't really class him as AFTV, just someone that appears, but he's one of the sane ones.
Oh, Lee's great, wasn't he?
Lee was good.
Yes, we're going to get Craig on soon.
We certainly are, and we've got loads of other guests. Whether we choose to tell you about that tonight is completely a different story.
Right. Desperate we get.
Yeah.
For information.
Because dead air is a crime.
It is.
It is. And now we will head over to Danny for all of the scores across the board, a lone watch, and other shit if he can be bothered.
Of course I can be bothered, you cheeky whelp. I saw some of David's tweets the other day. Were you watching the Arsenal-Liverpool game, David?
The ladies, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, tell us a bit about it. Yeah. Was it good?
It was a cracking game because they went up there. They were like 4 points behind Liverpool, and Liverpool are third. We're fourth. You got to get in the top two to get in the women's equivalent of the Champions League. And Liverpool had won 4 in a row. And our ladies made them look decidedly ordinary. First one was a bit scrappy. It was a rebounded penalty. But the second two absolute beauties into the top right-hand corner. And the quality of football is getting better and better and better. It really is. So next time they're on, I'd recommend everybody gives them, give them half an hour and see if you get on with it or not. But last night, very impressive.
Was it on Arsenal Player or was it on another station?
No, it was on the Women's Football Association or the Women's Super League at the Football Association.
Yeah.
They've got a a Facebook page, and they broadcast it on that.
Well, there you go, people. That's something to watch. If I'd have known that, I probably would have watched it because God knows my Sky isn't working. Right, yesterday won 3-0 goals from Maidema, Janssen and Evans. Won it 3-0. That's really good. Only 461 people there. It is up north, though. Oh,
yeah,
but that
was at Runcorn, I think, or Widnes. No, I think it's Runcorn and Widnes play there. Or
Widnes. Yeah. Okay, well, the next one we've got is we've had a decent week of results. The under-23s, we hosted Everton at Boreham Wood. We only smashed them 4-0, Gimli.
Whoa, that's the kind of result I like.
Eddie Nketiah got 3 goals. There was a bit of controversy. You remember, I can't remember his name. He's got a blue tick now. He writes for, I think, the Metro or one of those ones. Is it Layeth?
Yes.
Yeah, him. He was at the game, so he cleared up for us that it was a bit of a scramble for the first goal because some people said it wasn't him that scored it. But no, it's been given as a hat trick for Eddie, which is fantastic. In the first team, we had Rob Holding again, seems to be playing there a lot, which is good. Then the new Greek boy, Mavropanos. If I say it slowly, it makes sense. And then, that's it. So we are now up to second in the league, only 1 point behind Liverpool. Which isn't too bad considering not long ago we were in the second tier of that football, weren't we?
We were doing bad for a stage, weren't we? We were crap.
Yeah, and Man United are bottom, 12th. Spurs are below, just above them, so it looks like those two might be going down, and we could win the league. Hurrah!
So Sven working his magic. That's what that is.
And Steve Gatting is the manager. Right, so then the under-18s went away to Middlesbrough in the FA Youth Cup, beaten 3-2. Smith Rowe scored a goal. John Jules from the Ministry of Sound Party scored a goal. And Ballard, so beat them 3-2. That's good. Kwame's doing a wonderful job there. And then finally, the women went to the Yeovil in the Women's FA Cup, beating them 3-0, but Soccerway doesn't give any information about that. Just know that Yeovil have lost their last few games, 3-0, 3-0, 8-0, 8-0 and 2-0. So we're through to the next round. I don't even know if they don't even bother telling us what bloody round that was. Absolute disgrace. Injury room with Monreal is going to be out for about 3 weeks of a hamstring. Cazorla still says Achilles, 477 days. Cech has got a calf strain. I don't know how long he's going to be out. And what player on loan would you like information about, or would you like one of the new boys?
I'll have one of the new boys.
Well, Matthew Debuchy scored in his debut for his French team, which I can't remember. And the ones that went out on loan, I've moved it. Oh, here you go. Only one of them has played. Chupa Akpom. He came on as a sub. Shut your face.
Akpom.
Shut your face. He's number 32. Not sure if he's 32 for us or them. He's played 2 games. And also Ben Sheaf has gone on loan to Stevenage. And I think he's played 1 game there. Bloody hell, my tinnitus has got so loud I can barely hear myself think. That's weird. Yeah, it is. It's really loud in my left ear. So that's all there is, Gim.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Yeah.
The pleasure is all yours.
You've pulled it out the bag this week.
Just for info, boys. Yeah. Just for info, Lathy writes for the Islington Gazette, mainly most of his Arsenal stuff. Worth always getting the local paper.
Yeah, he's very good. Did a really good interview with Tony Adams recently. Yes.
Certainly did. Right then, we'll continue the show by talking about our 5-1 demolition of Everton. And for his thoughts on the game, we'll go to you, Simon.
Yeah, it was an amazing game, I think, considering all the talk that went before it. That first half, I don't think a lot of us have seen Arsenal play that well for a good many years. As bad as Everton were, and I mean, they were bad. I mean, Allardyce described them as crap afterwards, which I think is almost being polite, to be honest. They were terrible. Arsenal tore into them, didn't they? And it was the main difference that I sort of noticed from the team was whether that was down to not having Sanchez or, demanding and running with the ball, was just the speed at which it got moved about. We haven't seen that for years, where it's 1 touch, 2 touch, and rather than someone running with the ball trying to beat 3 men, we were actually knocking it about. And within 20 minutes, we're 3-0 up. It was a bit like that Palace game. And then I know he was offside for his goal, but that Aubameyang finish was absolutely beautiful. Just that little dink, so composed. Obviously, with the 14 on his back, everyone getting a bit excited. But the main thing I felt with Aubameyang was the ability that he gave us in behind with the absolute pace. I don't know what the other guys think, but when we signed Lacazette, I thought he was going to be a bit quicker, a bit more pace, and he's obviously not that. But there was a bit early on in the first half, it was either Ramsey or Ozil put a ball over the top for Aubameyang, and he absolutely blitzed the centre-back, and it was a good save from Pickford.
Yeah, it was Ozil passed the ball down the flank.
And it was that thing where we haven't had that for ages, where we can just, that out ball, we can go long, like we used to with Thierry and players like that. And Mkhitaryan as well. I mean, what do you say about him? 3 assists on his home debut. I mean, I think the stat was that the last player to get 3 assists for Arsenal in the game was Cazorla, 5 years ago.
I've got a little stat on that if you want to hear it, Simon.
What's the stat? Yeah.
It was from it's from Orbinio, and it says, this is the 10th time an Arsenal player has registered a Premier League hat-trick of assists. Bergkamp v Leicester in 99, Henry v Sunderland 03, Henry v Birmingham again in 03, Reyes v Borough in 06, Van Persie v Hull in 09, Cesc v Blackburn in 09, Theo against Blackburn in 12, Podolski v West Ham in 13, and like you said, Cazorla v Wigan in 2013. Wow.
And he was fantastic, wasn't he? And the thing that I took away from that, as good as Mkhitaryan was the fact that before so much, I think our problem had been that with Ozil being the playmaker, it was obvious, everything comes through him. And by having Ozil and Mkhitaryan, 2 playmakers, the difference it makes going forward in terms of the defending team trying to work out, who do we deal with? And all the best teams you look at, they've got more than one option. Look at Real Madrid with Modric, Cruz, Isco. You look at the same with Manchester City with Silva, Jesus, Sterling, Sane, all these options. I think we've seen it a bit with Chelsea where they've struggled, where it's got to come through Hazard. And I think it's the same with us before, where it had to come through Ozil. And now if we've got Ozil and Mkhitaryan as those 2 playmakers, one of these 2 is going to be getting space. One of these 2 is going to have a day like Mkhitaryan did. And I think going forward, that is the difference we're going to see. We're going to have more playmakers than we've probably had for a good number of years at Arsenal. And if teams like Everton don't wise up to that, will be fun to watch, that's for sure.
The one thing I should say as well about Mkhitaryan was the fact that he was getting back and defending as well. For me, he was everywhere that game. He was absolutely unplayable, wasn't he, Gav?
Loved him. I thought it was the ideal home debut, probably for them both. To be fair, absolutely. I mean, we just looked like we was playing football again, more than anything else. It sort of looked like there was a plan, and it looked like the players had actually been talking to each other that week, and it just looked like we had a bit of a clue on the pitch. Really, it's a shame we didn't go on and really spank them. That's the only thing really is. It would have been nice if we'd sort of come out and pushed on in the second half as well, but you can't complain, can you, when we're playing like that?
No, I think the thing is, I think we all want Arsenal to win by as many goals as possible, but the damage was done in the first half. Everton weren't coming back. They took the foot off the gas. I think many people will go, we could have got a lot more, but that performance was just a gift. David, we should talk about Aaron Ramsey, the hat-trick hero. Now, this is a player that's, had his fair amount of boo-boys in the past and will continue to do so. But he was superb on the day. Do you think a player like Mkhitaryan brings out the best in him?
Yeah, and the interesting thing going forward is whether you'll be able to get Ramsey and Jack Wilshere in the same side. But certainly last Saturday, Ramsey gave us a bit of a balance, so that Ozil and Mkhitaryan were free to basically roam where they wanted and do what they wanted. Aaron did. He had a perfectly balanced performance. He got forward when we had the ball, but he was back when we didn't have it, and it brought out the best in him. And like you say, it was a delight, because actually when he got the third goal, they actually had the board ready to bring him off to send on Jack Wilshere. And when you see Mkhitaryan put that ball through to him in his finish to complete the hat-trick, the roof lifted off the place. And that's the other thing I'd have to say about it. Not related to Aaron, I know, I'm wondering, but the atmosphere there in the first half was as good as I've heard at the Grove for a long, long time. And then just after half-time, they all started up the Mesut Ozil chant in recognition of him signing his new contract. And I've not heard that really lifted the roof off, and he waved at everybody. He appreciated it, I think.
All good. Right, Gav, more on Aaron Ramsey with you. Where do you think he sits in this packed midfield? Do you think he's a starter?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to start how he played the other day. I mean, it'd be stupid. I mean, the thing is, I watched I don't generally watch a lot of football apart from the Arsenal stuff, but I watched the tournament, the last tournament, and he was playing Wales, and the way he sort of almost is a number 10 at times. And it'd been my complaint from the few years, probably not from him, but from where, but from the fact that him, Ozil, and Giroud all tended to want the same sort of position on the pitch. Now, with two kind of playmakers and them sort of going wide at times, it does kind of spread teams out a bit, really. If everybody does what Everton does and sort of follows our playmakers out wide, then it just opens up the space that he loves and the space that he needs. But like I say, he's got to do it consistently, and he's got to keep tracking back. He's got to do his midfield work. But I just think it's ideal. He's one of the ideal runners that we've got in our squad that can run beyond Ozil and Mr. Mkhitaryan, and he can get the ball and he can get the second ball. So I just think that how it's going on this new team layout is only going to be good for him. I can only see it being good for him.
And Simon, there are rumours this week that obviously Aaron Ramsey needs a contract extension, and there's rumours of that contract extension being around 250 grand. Now, where do you stand on that? Do you think he warrants being a 250 grand player?
I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think in terms of him, he's 2019, isn't he, June? So
yeah,
I think he's clearly timed this deal well, in the same way that Ozil timed his deal well, in that Ramsey's waited for Ozil to get that big deal. So, Ozil's now gone up to, I think it's around 350 grand a week. So now when Ramsey signs, he's obviously not going to expect to be on that, but he's going to want to be close to that. And then in terms of if Ozil's on 350, Ramsey will say, no, well, I should probably be on, 250, 200 grand. And I think the key for Arsenal and the factor they had with Ozil in the end was basically, look, we either let the player go, we then got to sign a new player for, in Ozil's case, it was going to be 50, 60 million pound player, and we got to pay him the wages. And I think it's the same with Ramsey, in the fact that if we let Ramsey go, we've got to buy a new player, and trying to find someone of Ramsey's quality who's also homegrown, which remember is an important thing. You've got to have 8 homegrown players in your squad. I think the club will probably realise that if he's 250 grand, we'll probably keep him. And the benefit they've had, as we saw in the last window, is you got rid of Debuchy, you got rid of Giroud, you got rid of Walcott. So the space in the wages is a bit bigger. And I know people were a bit sort of confused when Ornstein was saying, oh, there's not massive money to get more players in. I think that was done with the club looking towards the fact that they need to tie down players like Ramsey, whose wage is going to go up by, looks like sort of 100 grand way. So I think for Arsenal, in terms of Ramsey, I think it's worth the 250 grand because he's now coming into his peak for the next 4 or 5 years. And the cost of, we always say this, isn't it, but the cost of letting him go and bringing someone in would be far greater than bumping up his wages. So I think for this team and for where they are now, I think it's worth pushing the boat out to keep Ramsey for the next 4 or 5 years.
Danny, do you agree with that?
Yeah, has to be. We all moaned about the fact that Ozil and Sanchez's deals have gone all the way down, and to within 6 months and then their contracts expiring. But I was wondering why me and a few others that I know get really concerned about how much money we play in the players and how much money we pay for players and how much money we get for players. And Simon, I don't know if you agree, it's because we play Championship Manager and Football Manager so much that we are that much involved with every single deal. Like we looked at the Giroud deal, 18 million, and went, bloody hell, if I'd have been manager, I'd have wanted 30. Did you find that you look at it with a more critical eye because you've spent so much time playing that game? And I thought, I need to forget about it. The wages and the transfer fees shouldn't bother me, but they do.
Yeah, I think it's just, part of that people have a greater football intelligence now than because of games like that, or they perceive they have a greater football intelligence because of games like that. They know more about the wages, they know more about what they're on, and they think that, we could get better money than that, and they don't think about other circumstances. Like I know everyone was annoyed about Giroud, but the fact of the matter is he wasn't going to go to Dortmund. He's just had a 3rd kid. He wants to stay in London, which is why I didn't go to Everton. He's not going to go to West Ham. So when it all boils down to it, it's basically he can only go to Chelsea, so the price is going to go down. And this is something in a computer game. You don't have things like players coming to you and saying, oh, well, I need to stay in London because my wife just had another baby. I think people forget about circumstances like that, don't they?
And let's not forget, he's doing a fantastic job at Chelsea.
Agent
2 games, 2 losses.
Exactly, yeah.
I was just thinking about this, Gimli, that it doesn't show that there is a bit of a shift in the top of the league, the way that things are going, that we have a 31-year-old striker who is notorious for not scoring goals. I mean, we all love Giroud, but he isn't that good a striker. He's not what you want to push on to the next level. And Chelsea have shown their ambition by buying him off of us, and then the player they let go then goes to Germany, scores 2 goals and gets an assist on his debut. And meanwhile, their main striker, Costa, has gone back to Atletico Madrid, banging in goals, getting sent off, having a whale of a time over there. And you think, Chelsea fan, like I was listening to Talk Sport, and you had one of them's a Chelsea fan on there. Is it Hawksby's the Chelsea fan? And he's just going crazy about it. And I only turn on at 1 o'clock for the first 20 minutes just to hear him whining about Chelsea. But it does show massive ambition, going back to your actual point about the wages, that we can't let these players go like that. And I think Arsenal may have realised all along that Sanchez wasn't going to sign a new deal. But then again, why wasn't he sold in the summer when we would have got an extra apparently £30 million for him? But then also you've got to look at it like if a player's on 100 grand a week, and then you take it up to the very last moment, you're still paying him 100 grand a week all the way to the time you sort out a new deal. Now Ramsey has got another few years left on his contract, so he's going from 100 to maybe 250. So that means for the rest of that contract, where you could have been getting away with paying him 100 grand a week, you're now having to pay him an extra 150 a week, or however much it's going to. No, did they say that his new deal is going to be 150 a week or 250?
250, over 200.
Bloody hell!
So you run the risk. You run the risk, Dan, don't you?
Yeah.
It's a gamble, isn't it? It's a gamble waiting that long. And I think with Ozil, they always thought that he would want to stay. And from Ozil's viewpoint, he put himself in such a strong position by the time that Sanchez had gone that Arsenal had to get Ozil to sign, didn't they? So it worked well from Ozil's point. So it's a gamble from both sides, isn't it? The more you leave it, the more, the risk you take, isn't it? Letting your contract run.
I think we just need to finish your point, Gim. Because when I was on Gooners in the USA, Mike tweeted me the other day. He said, "But you said you didn't want Ozil to stay," and I said, "No, I didn't want him to stay for the amount of money that he was on." And I'm just going to, from now on, I'm not going to take the slightest bit of notice about how much wages people are being paid, how much we pay for transfers. All I care about is like when you're playing it on FIFA, just bring the players in, let them do their job. So I'm not going to moan about the wages or the transfer fees anymore.
No, I moan if a player is on that amount of money and not performing week in, week out. If a player is performing to their best of their ability, it doesn't bother me. That's the only way it bothers me.
But the club don't get a single penny directly out of me other than what I pay for my Sky Sports.
That's because you're a tight ass.
That certainly is, and they don't do 9XL tops.
You touched there, Danny, on replacing Giroud with Aubameyang, and I think, aren't we as a fan base so critical of other clubs or of our own club, when they upgrade players and we're going, oh well, we're buying youngsters and they're upgrading on what they've already got. So I think the fact that we've done that with Giroud is a fantastic piece of business. And to have Aubameyang in, and he made his debut. And David, just talk us a little bit through him, his movement, and your gist of what you thought of his performance.
Very difficult to tell on one performance and on one guy, but his movements seemed to be very intelligent. He was always making himself available, whereas sometimes you see strikers who are not really sure of their surroundings or maybe try and hide next to the centre half. He wasn't. He was definitely always on the move, definitely looking for the spaces. And that's the sort of thing as well that Lacazette was doing when he first signed. But we weren't putting balls in for Lacazette. We still haven't found a way of servicing him, if I can say that on air in public. But on the day, it looks as though Aubameyang has got an almost telepathic understanding with Mkhitaryan. And you could see Mkhitaryan was always looking for where he was to look for, was there a gap he could thread it through? So I think there's a lot of promise there for the future. As was said before, I thought his finish was absolutely outstanding, glorious little chip. And that's kind of been the difference between him and perhaps the most recent version of Lacazette, because on the couple occasions that we have put him through, he's not been able to make the finish. I think he got 5 or 6 goals pretty quickly and they've dried up. I would love to see what the two of them would do together, particularly with Ozil and Mkhitaryan behind them. But quite how you set up defensively behind that extremely offensive foursome, I honestly don't know. But Aubameyang, yeah, great start, absolute positive. Glad we've got him. He's an upgrade on Giroud, but Giroud gave us something that nobody else at the club now does. He could play with his back to goal.
Do you think, David, that there could be an argument of maybe Lacazette taking Iwobi's place from the squad that we saw out on Saturday? Do you think there's a way we could integrate him that way? With Iwobi
very
being
much
the
so.
make weight?
Very much so. And I think you could kind of bring him in and you could have a mobile front two where he will kind of start out on the right-hand side or Aubameyang in the centre. If we attack down the left-hand side, then Aubameyang can go near post and Lacazette can come far post. We'll have that twin threat in there. But as I said, the problem for me is if you're playing that attacking foursome is what you've got left to defend. I don't think you've got enough players left to play a back three, so you'd probably have to go with a flat back four. You'd certainly probably only have one defensive midfielder shielding them, and then you'll have your box-to-box player, which is where you've only got one place basically for either Aaron or Jack.
Right, what else have we got here? In fact, let's talk a bit about Aubameyang. You could never have enough Aubameyang. Gav, your thoughts on his debut and how high do you think he can get at this club? Or just how many goals do you think he can score for us?
Depends how many times he shoots, I guess. No, I don't know, mate. Cause I throw my hands up. I've never seen him before he moved to us. So all I've done is seen him for 90 minutes on the box. So, like I say, but he does look the part. He does. I think he comes with that sort of air of confidence. and that gives you confidence. And I like that about him. He had that sort of like that cockiness, that little bit of cockiness that Thierry Henry had. Do you know what I mean? He had that little bit of sort of air about him. So let's just see. I mean, if he gets us 10 goals between now and the end of the season, then that's going to really help us. If he gets more, it's going to help us even more than that, really. But it's very, very hard to predict. But like I say, it does look like we've got a player on our hands. He does look a proper player.
And with that said, Simon, we do have to take into account Alexander Lacazette. It's very difficult, isn't it? I mean, a lot of people are saying that he's going to be used as the Europa striker, which I can understand why that would be. Do you think there's a way they can be reintegrated together, or do you fear for Lacazette and his future at Arsenal Football Club?
It's difficult. It is really difficult because you know Arsenal can't. We're not one of those clubs who can have a £50 million striker on the bench. We're not Man City. Can't have that luxury. So it's going to have to be a situation where they either play together or Lacazette's probably going to have to go. I think for this season, Lacazette is going to have to be the Europa League striker now because obviously we've sold Giroud. Aubameyang's ineligible for the rest of the competition. So it's either Welbeck or Lacazette. So I think Lacazette will get those games. I do think that Aubameyang and Lacazette could play together. I think Lacazette's intelligent enough. He's good enough playing off someone like that they could work together. But if not, I don't think it's unfeasible that Lacazette could go. I mean, a lot of people have said how Atletico were trying to get him last summer and it collapsed because obviously they had their transfer ban. If you listen to people like Julian Aron or Andy Brassel, on 5 Live, European experts, they said that Wenger was never really convinced by Lacazette, and in the end he sort of went for him because he felt he had to do the deal to get it done. And whether now in this summer, if someone like Griezmann leaves Atletico Madrid for Man United that he's linked with, or Barcelona, you then could Lacazette go there and Arsenal get another striker? And I don't know. I think long term, it's either going to have to be them playing together or Lacazette goes, because Arsenal simply aren't a club who can have a £50 million striker on the bench. We just can't have that luxury. My solution and my hope would be that they'll play together. But it's going to be one or the other. I can't see Lacazette being a number 2 striker at Arsenal. Just wouldn't work.
He's muted again, isn't he?
No, I'm not.
He is.
I know.
He's just taking it all in.
Yeah, I'm just in awe of our attacking options.
Gim, I always say that the way you judge a player when he's played in a different league is how he does in Europe. If you look at Borussia Dortmund, I mean, this season they've had a horrendous run in Europe and he's managed to get 4 goals in 6 games. I heard AC Jimbo and his lot today on Totally Football Show say that he has 4 goals in 4 games against Spurs, all in Europe. And if you look at his last 3 seasons with Borussia Dortmund, which haven't been their greatest, in Europe he's managed to get 22 goals in 29 games in European competition. Hello, Dora. And then overall, when you look at some of the seasons he's had, 21 in 24 this current season for them, 40 in 46 last season, 39 in 49. And that's why you can... No, Dora, don't jump up, silly cat. And this is why you can see that he was being touted as an 80, 90, 100 million pound player. Now get down. She's got this thing of sitting on the laptop and it'll mess it all up.
Get down.
Get down, cat. Yeah, there you go, people. That's how this sort of stuff works. This is why he was being touted as the best part of a £100 million player. And to come over to us, that is a magnificent player. And like I think Simon just said, we're not a kind of club that can have 2 £50 million players if one of them sat on the bench. And like David was saying, I'd like to see them all play. And just imagine the situation if you're a back 4 or more appropriately the back 2 defenders, and then you've got Mkhitaryan and you've got Ozil, and then you're not sure where they're going to go, because I think we saw a lot of in the Everton game where Mkhitaryan and Ramsey were moving around. Neither one of them was an actual centre midfielder or in the dual 10 role. And then you're going to be playing against Pierre and Lacazette. You're not going to go know your arse from your elbow, are you? It's going to turn teams inside out. So like David said, I'd love to see those 2 play up front together, because people just would not know what to do. We terrorise them.
I do think at some point this season, we will see the pair of them play together, even if there's 10 minutes to go and we're a goal down. Do you know what I mean? He's going to chuck them both on together at some stage, even if it's like for the last 10, 15 minutes of a game.
Right, we should also touch on Iwobi. Again, that's another player that's come under criticism in the last couple of weeks, but I thought he had a decent game. What about you, Simon?
Yeah, I think it was one of his best games for a long, long time, I think. Whether that was the benefit of coming up against an Everton side who weren't great, or the fact that, he had players like Ozil and Mkhitaryan and Xhaka around him who were on song. I always think with Iwobi that there is a good player there, because physically he's fantastic. As we've seen for Nigeria, when he's been given a leading role for them, he's been crucial for them, and all the way through the youth ranks for Arsenal, he's been so impressive, and the club have earmarked him as one who was always going to be big. I just think what he did on Saturday was he just kept it much more simple than he has done other weeks. He wasn't trying to dribble and beat three men. He just got it and give it, and he worked incredibly hard. And I think that's his role that he almost needs to take, almost like a better version of Danny Welbeck, almost, where he gives you lots of running. He'll get in behind, he'll work back, he'll give it, and he'll make the runs and create the space for Mkhitaryan and Ozil, because that's what we need. We need players like Iwobi to stretch it so that there's space for Ozil and Mkhitaryan. And it was important for Iwobi to have that performance, because obviously with Lacazette on the bench, everyone before kickoff was saying, how is Iwobi in the team? Lacazette's got to play. But Iwobi did give a lot of balance to that side, and I think that's what Wenger will be seeing, that he will get more from Iwobi than Lacazette is a bit more balanced. So I think Iwobi's going to be under pressure now, but if he keeps playing like that, keeps it simple, keeps working hard, then I think he's that spot is open, basically. I think out of those front four, I think we're all agreed Aubameyang, Ozil and Mkhitaryan will play, and it's that last one who's going to get that. And at the moment, it's Iwobi's after that performance. So it's up to someone to get that shirt off him.
Definitely so. And we should also talk about Xhaka. Danny, we'll go to you on Granit Xhaka, a player that he was, again, superb on the day. I may have asked it already, but do you think Mkhitaryan can bring out the best in players like Ramsey, Iwobi and Xhaka?
I think a lot of it depends on the formation we're playing. Like, I listen to a lot of other Arsenal podcasts, and I was listening to Lee and Craig the other day, and they had, remember Much Arsenal, Colin?
Yes.
And Colin was saying that Xhaka isn't worth £10 million and Xhaka's shit and this is that. And I would have liked to have asked Colin, what's Xhaka's best position? And all people who slag Xhaka off, what's his best position? Because we saw when Coquelin was a great defensive midfield when he was playing in that hole. But then when the further forward he went, the worse he was getting. Now, I'm not 100% sure what Xhaka's best position is, but I know what it isn't. It's not the ball-winning, tackling player who sits in front of the back two like El Neni has been doing. And so I think it depends on where you're going to play him. I would say that he's more of a midfielder. He can do a bit of tackling, a bit of passing, maybe get up and have the odd shot and kill someone in Rose Ed and maybe score the odd screamer. But he seems to be one of those players that he's not going to go. If we have quite a few players in the history and at the moment that you can put them in any position and they're going to play okay. But he's one of those players, if you're going to ask him to do that job, he's not going to be able to do it very well. So we saw against Everton that he was freed up a little bit more. I don't know. I don't think we played anybody in the defensive role there. I don't think we really needed to, because they weren't really doing much attacking. And he got an Opta rating of 7.3, and Ramsey next to him got a 9.7. But I think it's going to be a while before we see the best of Xhaka, because I don't think the position is in the first team for him to be playing. And when Wilshere comes back, like Wilshere came on as a sub in that game, that when Wilshere comes back, Xhaka's not going to have a place in that team, partly because he's had a terrible season. He's not really done much. In that game, he looked all right. But long term, what's Xhaka's best position going to be? Because I don't honestly know. John says that he's just a central midfielder who can do a lot of other stuff, but I think his confidence has been damaged by doing that. I know we say, poor players and their confidence. I think they really do suffer from confidence issues. We saw how magnificent the Cock was, and as soon as you started to move him out of his comfort zone, he turned to shit and ended up having to get rid of him. So,
but you pin your hopes, Danny, on the fact that Ramsey and Wilshere can play alongside each other, because it's very much an untested partnership, and for what we've seen of it, it's fair to say that it hasn't really worked. David, can they play together?
I don't believe there is a place for both of them in the side. and I'm starting to sound like a bit of a recording now, aren't I? But if you want to play the four up front, and even if you just want to play Mesut Ozil and Mkhitaryan together, then Ramsey and Jack behind them are a luxury you can't afford, because you've just been talking about Granit Xhaka not being able to tackle as well as perhaps we thought he could. But the same applies also to Jack and Aaron. Jack can be impetuous and is a yellow card waiting to happen. And Aaron can be bypassed a little bit easily if he's the last man in front of the back four. So with the players we've got, and that's an important stipulation, I don't think we can. But that's not to say all this talk of getting rid of one of them in the summer, that's an absolute nonsense, because neither of them are going to be fit all season, and they are natural replacements for each other, even though they bring something a little bit different to the side.
Do you think, David, then there's maybe call for a central defensive midfielder to come in, like a ball-winning midfielder, like a Vieira, say?
Absolutely there is, and there has been for some time now. I think we've known that, in all honesty. And let's not forget, this goes back. You're just talking about Coquelin. Coquelin was brought back as a last resort and came off for us as a bit of an unexpected result. But even before then, I mean, it's been years. I don't think we've ever really had a player since Gilberto packed up who actually does that job of being the wall. And that's what we need at the moment. If you want to play all these attacking players in front of them, you do want a wall. And so we've either got to go and buy one, or he's got to take a gamble with our league season now and start playing Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I did a Danny.
He's done it.
He's
done you.
Ainsley Maitland-Niles, give him a run of games in there and see if he is the answer, because he could yet save us a lot of money.
And
Gim,
Gav?
you know we like to weave in questions from the listeners when they're appropriate.
Oh, cheeky.
Yeah, the person called Santi says, what do you guys think of decor of Watford in the summer? Now, he's I'm not going to say his first name. He's 25 years old, 6 foot tall. He's a French under-21 international. He's currently playing for Watford, 8 goals in 50 games. Before that, he was playing in the feeder leagues with Rennies, the ones who make the digestion tablets. Simon, I think I'm not going to. You would give this to whoever you want, Gim, but I think Simon might have been talking about it in the groups, because I'd never even thought of him as a defensive midfielder.
Simon had the next question, so if you want to tackle it, Simon, you go for it.
I mean, I've seen him a couple of times. I've seen Watford about 5 or 6 times this season, and he has been fantastic for them. Really, really good player. I mean, physically, he's incredibly imposing. He's so strong, powerful. I think Watford picked him up from France and loaned him to Granada when they first got him a few years back, but he's come in and he's been an absolute mainstay. I wouldn't say he's a natural out-and-out holding midfielder, as his goal tally suggests. You know, he can get forward a bit. And even when Watford have been at their best, they've sort of played him in a 3, and he's been the one physically able to get up and down. So as a player, I think he's good. I think he'd be suited to playing for us. But again, he's not that out-and-out holding midfielder if that's what you're buying him for. And we already saw with Xhaka where we didn't quite get what we wanted. So for me, I wouldn't massively go for him, because I don't think he's quite what we need. But he is a good player, and I think Watford will probably lose him in the summer, because he's a little too good for that side.
Can you, as someone that watches a lot of football, Simon, can you identify anyone that you'd want to come in, or that you think could do a really good job for us in that position?
It's tough. I mean, a player who I do really like, you're probably getting someone with a bit more Italian expertise than me, is a player at Napoli called Jorginho, who's Brazilian born, but has become into the Italian national team, who sort of sits a bit more, not so tough tackling, but has got a bit of bite in him, but can play a bit as well, which I think is important. I don't think we need an absolute destroyer, because Gilberto had that thing, where he could play a bit. He's someone I really would like. We were linked with him a few years back, but he's become really important for Napoli, so it'd be tough to get. If I could have someone probably in his mould. Other than that, it's difficult to think, really, because it is a bit of a dying art, I think, the holding midfielder role. I mean, even at the top teams, you look at Real Madrid, I know Casemiro's become a good player, but he was someone who was sort of thrown into that role and developed into it. So it's tough. I mean, I don't know if any other boys know anyone that they'd pick out. Because I mean, even look at someone like Krychowiak, who we talked about a lot, didn't we, on this podcast for a couple of years, and now he's struggling to get in the West Brom team. So it's a difficult area to buy, which I think is why we haven't, gone out and done it, because Wenger's one way, he doesn't buy unless he has to think the player is a quality.
Right then, Danny, I think that's pretty much everything covered on those games. So did you want to hit us with the best of the listener questions?
Okay, yeah, it's been a bit of a quiet week, hasn't it? Yeah. Before we do that, what we're going to do next podcast is meant to be on a Monday or Tuesday, because next Thursday we're playing the Swedish team. So yeah, have a little think about what we're going to do. Whether it's going to be Monday or Tuesday next week that we're going to be on. We've only got one guest lined up, and that's Carl, if he's not busy messing all the trains up. And
we've got another guest.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you were going to announce any of those yet.
Maybe.
Cheeky. Okay, right. Questions, because it should be quite a short show tonight. Much like yourself. I'm going to go. Who's going to be first? Gav. Gav. This is from the Chronicles of a Gooner. He says Wilshere and Ramsey, Wilshere and Xhaka, or Xhaka and Ramsey. Because if we've just been talking about that. Or have you? Or neither?
No, I mean I'm slightly different to my learned gentleman colleague David. I actually think there's going to be games where you can play Jack and Ramsey together. Games where we're at home and teams aren't high pressers, then they're the sort of games where maybe you don't really need a defensive midfielder as much, and you need more of a sort of quarterback style player who can just get the ball off of the defenders and do something nice with it. So I can see them two being the option for probably like 28 out of the 38 games.
I kind of agree with you there. I'd love to see those two play. Have you broken up, or have you stopped talking? I thought you'd stopped talking. You haven't. You broken up, haven't you? Your shitty internet. Go on, carry on.
I haven't broken up. I just shut up.
Oh, okay. So is that your answer?
Yeah, I'm given the choice, I'm always going to say Jack anyway.
Yes.
I should be captain. I'd make Jack captain. I honestly would.
So would I. Right, next question is going to go to Mr. Holick. This is from Noir Confidential. He says, recently we managed to get rid of the players we didn't need or who weren't good enough. Who, in your opinion, is left in the first team that we should get rid of in the summer? And he's put in brackets, apart from Pear and Santi, who are leaving anyway. Yet again, Mr. Noir Confidential has come out with a magnificent question. That bloke is quickly becoming my favourite questioner.
And you're pointing that question of all questions at me, so I got out someone who we got to get rid of. Me, well, Mr. Positive, talking here.
Actually, no, that's not the way. Well, I write them down in the order that they come in, and then you're in my Skype. You're second in Skype, and then Gimli's next. So it's the gods have spoken, the Viking gods. We can't disobey them, David.
Well, I honestly, I think the ones who have got to be worried about being retained would be Granit Xhaka, I think, depending on whether or not we can make another acquisition or if Ainsley Maitland-Niles is the answer. I think Danny Welbeck will be under pressure if we keep both Lacazette and Aubameyang. I don't think there's much room in that squad for Danny. I think they will want to buy a different sort of attacker in order to give us an option that we don't no longer have now that we haven't got Giroud. So they would be the two I would think would be looking over their shoulders. I know there's going to be one or two people might say Sead Kolasinac. I think they're giving up on him a bit soon. But yeah, let's see what the other boys think.
That's a very tactful answer. Oh, I'm losing my voice. Does anyone else want to chip in?
I think Koscielny's going to go.
Oh, why? Well, we're just going to give up the centre backs.
Yeah, we don't need them anyway, do we? No, it's no. I think his injuries are finally going to sort of curtail him. Really, I don't think we're going to get a full season out of him ever again. And I think that it might be time he goes.
Well, don't you think it's more of a situation that he shouldn't be playing against the likes of Everton and Crystal Palace and Swansea and Watford and all these other teams, that we should be saving him for the bigger games where his experience comes in? So what we really need to do is get the young players like Holding and Chambers playing in those games. But Wenger doesn't want them, does he?
No, whilst I playing regularly to get...
You keep breaking up. You got your shitty internet.
No, oh, sorry. No, you best ever, and playing all the time.
Oh dear! Can you go and stand by the window or something? You're not on Ethernet. You're telling me lies.
I'm not. I wouldn't tell you lies, Dan.
Bloody would you?
I fucking would.
You strutter! Don't we smash the place up? Right, no more questions for Gav because he's been bad boy. So good luck with that, listeners. If you want to know the answer to any of Gav's questions, just at him at SheWar and say, what was your answer to that question? Because fuck knows we couldn't hear a word you were saying. Right, Gimli, next question to you from Let's Talk Arsenal. Yeah, he's put, yes, I do, actually. He's probably replying to someone else's question. It's about who our third striker option can be. Oh, he's putting, yes, I do actually have a question. Who our third striker option can be. Has the time come to sell Danny Welbeck and play Eddie Nketiah on the bench instead?
No, I don't think so. I think Nketiah is doing very well where he's at the moment. Obviously, he's learning. Is he training with the first team? Do we know?
On and off, yes.
Yeah.
So,
be, yeah.
You know, why put him in too early and risk burnout? Obviously, we know he's not going to get the games, even if he's there or thereabouts. But no, I don't think we drop Danny Welbeck for Nketiah just yet.
Well, that's brave. Okay, I'd have said yes. I'd make Welbeck the tea lady. Next one is going to go to you, Simon. This is from Ryan Cost. Could Maitland-Niles, notice he missed out the first name of Ashley, cheeky, do a better job as a CDM than Granit Xhaka?
As an out and out, holding midfielder, potentially. We're not going to know until we give him a chance. I think Wenger has touched it before that long term, I think he sees Maitland-Niles playing there, which is quite odd, isn't it? I mean, he's gone from in the youth teams. He was a winger when he was on loan at Ipswich. He played out wide as an attacking winger. He's obviously now playing left wing back for us, and he's been bloody good there. To be fair, he's absolutely stepped up. And I think long term, he'll give him a go there, but I don't think that would be for 18 months or so. I think so. Right now, even just as a central midfielder, I don't think he would do as good a job as Xhaka. I think he's a bit lightweight in there, to be honest, and lacking in a bit of experience. And I'd also be wary about giving him that CDM role and, him just getting absolutely, if he has 3 or 4 bad games, you can kill a young player like that. So I'd be wary about sticking him in there right now.
So what would you say the cut-off point is for when a player can change his position? Like we all know, Ashley Cole was a striker, and quite a few other players have been. I mean, when Pele started, Pele was a goalkeeper, and that's why at Santos, the locker number 1 still says Pele on it, apparently. I'm looking at his Wikipedia, and it says playing position, winger, midfielder, fullback. He's 20. He's going to be 21 in August, going by the algorithm that you can use to work out a player's age. So if he's 20 now, he's 21 in August. So he's 22 now. So at what point does a player stop playing all over the place? Because I know we had the likes of Remy Gard and Jules Grimandi and all those other players that generally did play in every position, but then they were master of none. Do you think he's getting to the point now where you've got to decide what position he's going to play in and stay in that position for the well-being of his own future?
I think he might want that, because obviously if you're going to nail down a spot in the team, you want to say, look, this is where I want to play. We had it with Walcott for a bit, didn't we, where he said, look, I want to be a striker. And like you say, when you're that type of player, almost the James Milner, where you can play 3 or 4 positions, or, you can play left back, you can play centre mid, you can play right mid. You sort of lean yourself towards being a squad player off the bench who's handy because he can fill in anywhere. But I don't think there's a cut-off point for him. If Maitland-Niles plays, left wing back for 2 seasons and then moves into centre midfield, I don't think that should be a hindrance at all for him. I don't think there's any age you should set on it. It's about when it's right and when the slot's open. So for him, I'd keep him where he is. He's playing well. He's developing well. Let's just let him have a bit of time there. I mean, he only came in the team, didn't he? Sort of November, December time. Let's give him the rest of this season there. You know, in the odd pre-season game, we can have a go there next season, maybe in the odd Carabao Cup game. Just don't rush him because you can kill a player by doing that, I think.
As this is quite an important question, has anybody else got an opinion on it? Put your hand up. I can't see.
Well, in all honesty, I think probably the timing is against him being given a chance now. But I disagree that he's probably a bit too young now. I think he's waiting to find that place in the side for himself, and he's waiting to burst out, if you like. I have a feeling what may happen is that we may try him there at the start of next season. I think if he were to play now and fail and we are cost points because of it and cost a Champions League place because of it, yes, I take Simon's point. He could be the butt of social media and take it badly, take it to heart, whereas there will not be the same pressure on at the start of next season. So I would probably play him the first few games in August the pre-season and the first few league games in August. Does he look like he's got it nailed down, or have we got to get in the market and buy someone in a bit quick? I think we have that option with him.
Okay, good. Yes, that's what I like to hear. Right, next one. Fingers crossed, listeners. We're going to go to Gav on the moon. Gav, can you hear us? Over.
Gav to Danny.
Right, question in for you from Mr. Schwinn, who always gives us good questions. Wenger seems to have made the switch to the back four. Considering our home demolition of the Scum this season, we beat them 2-0 at home, do you think we'll revert to a back three against Spurs this weekend?
I think I've spent too long trying to second guess what Wenger's going to do. It's nice he's kind of got the option at the moment where he can switch between one and switch between the other and even switch mid-game. So I have no idea. I'd like to think he's going to play free at the back. It's a bigger pitch. We might get more justice if we're going wide a lot more. So yeah, I'm hoping he goes free at the back.
Well, congratulations on two things, answering the question and having a decent connection. It's brilliant. I never thought I'd see the day. Right, this next question is going to be for Mr. Holick. This is quite a long one, which I saved it for you because Gimli would just grunt at it and scratch himself. This is from Fraser Corbett. He says, why is diving considered a heinous act, but tactical fouling, such as purposefully committing a foul to stop a break, considered part of the game? Both cheating in my eyes and bit equally frustrating. They both even carry the same punishment. Now, Steve, if anyone listens to Steve on the show or in the WhatsApp groups, he counts the number of rotational fouls that goes on by certain players. And I think he said against Chelsea, one of their midfielders did 9 or 10 consecutive fouls without getting booked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wholeheartedly, Fraser, I wholeheartedly agree with what you were expressing in the question. I think any form of cheating is loathsome. I think the reason people go big on diving is that generally it happens in the box, wins a penalty that shouldn't have been won, and invariably will affect the result of the game. But yeah, equally, I agree. Steve's absolutely right. And particularly when we play Jack Wilshere, you'll watch people who will continually target not only the player, but his dodgy ankle that everyone knows about. And they will do it one after the other. And that drives me round the bend as well. So wholeheartedly agree with your point. Thank you.
Simon, do you want to mention about what you just put in the chat box?
Yeah, because I was just going to say I was at Pochettino's press conference on when was it? Was it Tuesday? Yeah, when this whole sort of diving debate came in, and it's obviously carried on this week. And Wenger's been talking about it today, saying English players are now the masters of diving, and it's just I think it's a big part of it is just a cultural thing, and this sort of got lost a bit with Pochettino's words. And obviously we have an outrage here when a player dives. It almost gets the same sort of scrutiny and pain as a terrible leg breaking tackle. It gets that complaint. And what Pochettino was trying to explain was not that he tells players to actively go out and dive. But almost in South America, it's just part of the game. Everyone admits it's wrong. You're not supposed to dive. But in their view, if you get done for diving, you get booked, like Ali was. He dived, he got booked, move on. And I think in South America, they just see it as part of the game. Whereas here in England, you know, if someone dives, it's a terrible, you know, they'll get back page, front page, whatever, all the sorts of abuse. Whereas Pochettino was explaining in South America, and when he was saying, you know, 20, 30 years ago, we lauded people for, you know, for tricking the ref, he's obviously talking about Maradona there, isn't he? So it's just a cultural thing that's very different. And I think here you obviously see the hatred that players get for diving. And with the new laws in it where they can be cited, I think it is going to slowly be stamped out. But we'll still see instances like we have with Ali of players getting booked and still trying to do it because, you know, if you can get a penalty and you win the 3 points, even if you get a later ban, you've still got those 3 points, haven't you? And you've still got that victory. So it's going to be difficult to stamp it fully out.
Point deductions, mate. Give point deductions.
Yeah, that's the thing, because for a player, isn't it? You know, obviously they'll say they get a 3-game ban, but if a player wins the penalty, you get the 3 points. They'll say, well, it's still worth a gamble. I agree with you. Maybe you need points, don't you? You need to do something like that to make it.
I think when
to make it punishable.
A player is constantly doing it, and a team is constantly doing it, then you've really got to have a look at the club themselves and the manager themselves. And at that point, you've got to start actually punishing them and not the player, because you know, no matter what way it's spun, you know. Tottenham at the moment are very, very close to being labelled just a team of divers. They're very, very close. So, like I say, something's got to be done, you know, about that really. Because I mean, you know, they can't just constantly do it. I mean, I think it was the other game, you know, it was 2 or 3 dives out of them all that could be debatable called diving, and it's not in the spirit of the game. All right, okay, taking someone out who's, you know, on the halfway line to break up play, to me, that's part of it being a bit of a man's game. Diving to win a penalty at the end, that ain't a man's game. That ain't even a bloody woman's game. Do you know what I mean? That Pochettino prick can fucking take his diving and his divers, and he can fuck off back to Argentina, as far as I'm concerned. He really fucking can, because it's just shit. It's just absolute shit. You don't want to be talking about fucking whether the player dived or not after the game. If I was it, I'd fucking a player dives twice in a season, fucking 10-game ban, right? If a team has more than 2 players banned for diving, fuck it, 3 points. Knock them 3 points off. Do you know what I mean? Let them have them donate their match day profit to a local charity. Do you know what I mean? Hurt the club. It's just bollocks. And like I say, the way it's building up at Tottenham at the moment, it's just persistent cheating. And it's.
Go on.
No, I could just sit here and fucking call Coutinho a cunt for the next 10 minutes if you like.
David, have you got something you want to say to that?
Well, actually, Simon kind of touched on the point, but Dele Alli did actually get booked in that game. Although they got 2 penalties under dubious circumstances, Dele Alli's dive was spotted. Now, for the booking, he's going to have to wait and tot up another couple, which are bound are going to come, you know, before he gets any sort of ban landed on him. Now, Tottenham got the point that they got out of that game. The other 2 guys have not been reviewed. But the penalty for being reviewed and found to have, deceived the referee or something, is as if you had been sent off on the day. So you have to make the crimes match in order to get the punishment. If you are given a diver, then you have to be sent off at the match and suffer that same penalty. Otherwise, you're always going to have uneven treatment of players who are caught and who are not for committing the same offence.
Gimli, you've been a bit quiet. This isn't a listener's question, but just building on what those three have said. Did you see the video of the linesman talking to the referee, and the referee said to the linesman, the Liverpool 2-2, the handball, the Loughman handball? You could see that someone had put down the bottom what they were saying, and you could, once you read it, you could hear that's what they were saying. And he said to the linesman, "Did you see it?" He said, "I didn't see it." And he went to the fourth assistant, or whatever they're called now, and he said, "Have you seen anything?" No, they didn't see anything. Oh, okay, I'm giving a penalty anyway. When you got stuff like that going on, what can we do about it, or what will be done?
It's very difficult to find out what can be done unless you have fair officiating. I will point out one thing. Did anyone see the Mike Dean this week when he just on the spot he went he did
it's amazing.
Oh,
yeah.
And with the music, it's even better, isn't it?
Yeah, it's it's amazing.
What did he do for those who haven't seen it like me?
Can you explain it any better than me, Simon? I mean, you're a man of words.
He just he's obviously walking towards the touchline, and then he signals for the throw in with sort of a spin and a stomp, and it fires out his left arm, and it's just been dubbed over with all this different music, like the YMCA. So as soon as his left arm comes firing out, it just "Yo man" just blares out, and it's you need to watch it. I'm not doing it justice. But it's just peak Mike Dean, it's so over the top for signalling for a throw-in. It's just,
Oh, here you go, people. If you go to your Twitter and you type in the search box Mike Dean dance, then one of them it's 32 seconds long, so I can't watch it now, but I'll watch it later. But that sounds really good. Anyway, Gim, you want your question?
Go on.
From one of the I can't remember their names.
Proclaimers?
2 brothers. No, one of the 2 brothers. They've changed his name now to Highbury 27. What are they called?
Reggie and Ronnie?
Simon and bloody hell.
Garfunkel.
We've known him for years.
Hardwick.
Hardwick, one of the Hardwick brothers. That's it. Right, he says, I don't know which one this is because he changed his name. He changed it just to Highbury 27. So he says, do you agree? He says, first of all, not really a question, sorry, but do you agree that our team is the best it has been for a good few years? Then he expands on that. Strange what a couple of good signings can do. Excited. Oh, Jesus. That's Lacazette's fault. I didn't even know that was coming. Sorry. That's disgusting. He says, excited about the Europa League and also the League Cup. Surely March can't be the standard it has been in the past, as in we always lose during March. I'm not going to drink any more Lucozade.
I think that you can only be positive about the attacking options that we've got. I think from watching the Everton game, the way we pass the ball about, I haven't seen Arsenal ping a ball about that in such a long time. I think Aubameyang's an excellent signing. I think Mkhitaryan will get tons of assists. Aubameyang will get tons of goals. I think there's a lot to be hopeful about. And maybe Mr. Wenger will step down in the summer.
Oh, you've had to go there, haven't you? So far, we've been going 1 hour and 8 minutes. Should we have one more round of questions for everybody and then move on?
Yeah, let's do another round of questions. Then we got predictions for the scum, shout outs, and then we're done.
Well, hey, right. This one's for you, Simon. This is from first part is from Trenry, who's often in our radio live chat box, and the second part is from Nick Stevens. So Trenry says, "What are our realistic goalkeeping targets, assuming Ospina goes and makes Czech our number 2 for next season?" And then Nick adds, "Will we pay the money for a required keeper?" Now, the one that we keep being linked with is Jan Oblak. I hope I said that right. Where's he from? He is Slovenian.
You have actually got that right. Fucking okay. God knows how.
Oblik. Jan Oblik. There you go. I'll make it all one word. So he's currently at my Spanish team, Atletico Madrid. He's 25 years old. He's 1.89 m. Fuck knows what that could be 4'2" for all I know. And his best position is goalkeeper. So. Yeah, before my voice goes completely, I need more Lucozade. Talk to us about what our possible goalkeeping future is going to be.
Well, it's obviously it's going to need to be done, as I think we agreed that on a few pods ago after the Swansea game with Czech, didn't we? We said, it needs a new goalkeeper, and I think a lot of us would have thought we had one in Chesney, which would have been fine. He's obviously now doing very well at Juve. The one they wanted the summer before was Pickford. But didn't want to pay the money that Everton paid in the end, which probably gives you an idea of the ballpark they were looking at before. Obviously, they'll have a bit more money to spend now, and now that a few players have gone out the door. I think Oblak would be a great option. I don't know whether, price-wise, you could be looking at a lot of money there. You could be looking at over £50 million, but, with the goalkeeper, it is an investment, isn't it? Because if they are good enough, you've got them for, 10 plus years. Another one is Alisson at Roma, who's been very good, who's been linked with PSG, Liverpool, because Liverpool are going to be looking for a goalkeeper as well in the summer, judging by reports. The one I would probably go for, and the club have liked before, and I think you could get him for better value now, is Jack Butland at Stoke. There's obviously a chance that Stoke will go down. I don't know if he's got a relegation release clause, but he'll certainly want to go if they go down. He's admittedly not had the best season. He obviously had a couple of injury problems. He injured his hand just when looked like he was going to get the England #1 spot. He broke a finger, I think, in training. And he's not been at his best. But if you ever get the chance to hear him do an interview or press conference, he's a fantastic speaker. Would be a great influence, I think, in terms of his leadership. He captained the under-21s. He's very well liked at Stoke. And I just think if they go down, you could get him at a very good price. You could get him at a good price anyway, I think, because he's not so much in the spotlight as he was a few years ago. And for me, he would probably be the one I think I'd go for.
Simon, let me just jump in there quickly. And I'm very, 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 very surprised that, seeing as what your job was a couple of years back, that you didn't say Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, Schmeichel's not a bad shout. That is a good shout. The only difficulty I could think with Schmeichel is potentially his family. He still lives in Manchester. He obviously grew up there. His family's there, and in terms of Leicester, he's got this sort of, the only way to describe it's like a pimped up sort of minivan, and he commutes from Manchester to Leicester, and the back of this minivan, he's got a bed in it, he's got a TV, so he can sleep in there. He's got a driver and all this sort of stuff. So whether he would take the move to London, potentially, his kids are a bit older now and stuff, and he might consider it. Again, Leicester will be tough to negotiate with as well. I think he'd be around the sort of 30 million mark, but he would be an option. I think. I think that's more the ballpark of someone of that 30 million downwards, 25 million, 20 million pounds, rather than someone like Oblak, who I think is probably. I don't know about you guys, but I can't see us spending for over 50 million quid on a keeper.
No, I can't.
Not for me.
Well, I just did a goggle when it said his release fee is 100 million, and Butland's is about 30 odd million.
Yeah, and I just think that Butland, if Stoke go down as well, I think he'd be one to watch. And the club have liked him before, and I think he'd be a good look.
Okay, right, there you go. That is a thorough answer if ever I've heard one. Right, this one is about a 4-3-3. No, I don't want that one. That was from Siddharth. Here you go. One for Gav from Jonas Segnanberg. I might have got 3/4 of that right. I've had my little burp because my voice is going, so I haven't. The only drink I've got is Lucozade Zero. People, it's wonderful. He says, "This for you, Gav. Would a hardcore supporter part of the stadium improve the atmosphere at the Emirates? Many other clubs have parts of the stadium reserved for those who want to jump, dance, sing, and beat drums, but not Arsenal."
Well, there is one, isn't there? Which is Block 6.
The Cheese Lounge.
Yeah, I think the Red Action thing from creating noises, they've just turned into creating banners now, haven't they? Like I say, they tried their best, and whether it was due to performances on the pitch or over the top stewarding, the experiment of having a singing, standing, loud area at the Bowl has kind of failed, hasn't it, really? The only real thing that could sort of get it up and going again, really, is if the club did, actively pursue safe standing. That's what that ground needs. It needs 2 areas of safe standing, one either end of the pitch. And that's the only thing that's going to improve it. I mean, you can try and build another supporters club and then try and get everybody to all get season tickets in the same place, and logistically that's an absolute nightmare. And there's going to be people now that if they're told that area is going to be fucking underwater, they still wouldn't move because they've been sitting in the same seat for 10 years. So it just kind of is what it is. We're kind of, until there's a change in whether or not there is a standing or a safe standing area, it's just going to carry on how it is. Unfortunately, it's there was times at Highbury when when it was all seat where it was rightly called the library, and at times it's going to be like that at the bowl, and it's just how it is. You could go on about the demographic and the age of supporters and all sorts, but like I say, the only thing that's going to improve it would be some form of safe standing.
Or an insurance claim when it burns down.
It's made of fucking concrete though, Dan.
Yeah, but I'm sure the Americans have got something under their sleeves. So it was some kind of sonic beam that can just crumble it with start again. David, you like me and Gav, you were at Highbury in the 80s and you've seen it all. I mean, you've probably got a really good answer. Hopefully you've got a good answer on this.
I'm more or less in the same school as Gavin, such as you do need safe standing areas in the stadium. But I think there's more to it, and I think he's right. Highbury changed as well when it went all-seater. And the difference between having the North Bank and the Clock End as terraces was really that before the matches, you didn't have all this canned music and entertainment. And so it was up to the people who were on the terracing. Nigel's going to hate me, Nigel Mitchell, because I'm doing him out of a job. But I do think they want to get rid of all this pre-match entertainment, leave the atmosphere to build as people come in, because that's the other thing. Because nobody wants all that stuff, nobody gets in the ground until 10 to bloody kick-off now. And they're all taking their seats at the same time. And you've seen on television, when a match kicks off, half the seats are still empty because people are still coming in. I think those two things combined, you could yet turn things around there. But whether there's a will to do that, I'm a little bit doubtful, to be honest.
It even annoys me when at half time when I'm watching it at home and the music comes on and it's blaring, I mute the telly. I don't want to listen to it. It needs to stop.
Oh, to be fair, half time now is it's usually excellent because they get one of the old gunners along. And last week was Thomas Rositzky. So rather than head off to the bar for 10 minutes, which is my usual wont, I sat there and listened to the Tom interview. And you do get some good ones there. That Anders Limpar there, Billy McCulloch back for us, real oldies has been there. John Samuels. It's quite a few. So half time. No, I don't want to do Nigel completely out of a job. But yeah, before the game, let's cut out all this artificial atmosphere because it doesn't create anything.
Okay, right. Echo's going to go off again. I told it to shut up.
It's just deadly violence, though, Dave, as it is at the moment.
I think it might do for a while until you suddenly realise that there's going to be a relatively half full, say, block of visiting supporters with 20 minutes, 25 minutes to kick off. And I think people will cotton on. If you've got that safe standing area and you're getting some younger kids in as well, then I think there's the potential for that atmosphere to come back.
Would be nice. Right. It should be your question next, David, but I'm going to give it to go to Simon, then David, then finish with Gimli. So this one for you, Simon, from Jeff Barker, who I've probably called Baker many times. He says, you hear so often about, and he quotes, confidence in football, more than any American sports, especially with Arsene Wenger ruining players' confidence. Is this a scapegoat for poor performance and development, or are the athletes, and he's in capital letters, that fragile, or is Arsene Wenger really a soul crusher? Good luck. That was meant to be your question, David, but I'll give it to Simon instead.
Thank you.
Here's that one.
Okay.
No, I think it varies from player to player and athlete to athlete. Gav touched on it with Aubameyang, where certain players just have this aura and this strut about them that whether they've got any confidence is shaken or not, they don't appear to show it. And you mainly see it in strikers like Aubameyang, where they seem completely unfazed by the occasion, by whether they miss a chance or not. And you do get players who are very confident players. And I think the best example would be someone like Mkhitaryan. For 18 months at Manchester United, he seems like someone who needs the arm round him, the shoulder round him, a bit of love, a bit of cajoling. Comes to Arsenal and he gets 3 assists in one game. And Manchester United fans going, well, where's that been for 18 months? And it's the same in any job or any work of life. You've got a team of people. They all need to be managed different ways. Some people need shouting at. Some people need, a bit of love. And it's the same with footballers and confidence. And I know people think, these are top level athletes. How can they be it? But they are still human at the end of the day. And they all still have the same thing and, concerns and worries. And confidence plays a big, big part in it. And even just having someone like Aubameyang there, it was the same way, when David Dean tells that fantastic story about the old Invincibles team, when he was talking with Gilberto and says, how were you guys so great? You were so fantastic. And he said they just used to do this thing in the tunnel where Vieira would be at the front and he would turn to the right to Lehmann and he would just nod, and they'd all sort of nod down the line. And there was just that confidence that goes through the whole team. And obviously we're not at that level now, but when you sign people like Aubameyang, you sign people like Mkhitaryan, you all just get a bit of a lift because you go, oh, look, we've got a decent team here. And it does play a massive, massive part in it. And it's mental is a huge aspect. And it's not just an excuse. I think it certainly plays a big part in it.
Wasn't it often said that Arsenal, where some Arsenal players said we used to win the game in the tunnel coming out to the game with how did that go? Because I'll butcher it.
No, well, I think there was. I've been lucky enough to hear David Dean speak a couple of times, and he obviously very close to all these sort of players and stuff. And they just used to have that team said they had this aura about them. And if you hear other people talking about them, Dean says he used to speak to other players and other teams. And obviously that Highbury tunnel was so small, wasn't it? So tight that they would, you look over and Vieira looks absolutely massive, and Gilberto and Lehmann and all these players and Campbell, you think, Christ, these guys are so big. And those Arsenal Invincible players, you say, yeah, we did win it in the tunnel. We'd look over at them and they'd be looking up and go, Christ, they've got Vieira, they've got Omri, Pires, Gilberto. And it is those names. And when you look at the other team, they'd size them up and think, yeah, we've got this. And we haven't had that for a very, very long time. I'm not saying we're getting it now when we're close to it, but that does play a part, that inner belief. And the crowd helps that. Like we speak about with the fans and Highbury and all that, that does play a part in it.
Wasn't Martin Keown on record as saying this week something that happened in the tunnel when he was talking to Vieira, and he asked why someone was acting stupid, and he said Vieira said, okay, I kill him, or something like that.
Yeah, it was at Wimbledon. That was when Vinnie Jones was headbutting the door, and it was Manu Petit said to him, who's that? He said, that's Vinnie Jones. He said, I will kill him.
I think the only way now that we could do them in the tunnel as if the light catches one of their gold or myriad of weird coloured boots and sparkles them in the eye.
You get the impression that they're all in the tunnel now, and then you've got something like fucking pick a name out, Granit Xhaka, and he looks at Paul Pogba. He says, "Oh, who's this Paul Pogba with this stupid hair?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, he's a bit of a wanker," and I hug him.
Yeah, they all hug each other now, don't they? And they all sort of high five. And you think you compare that with the Keane and Vieira days. I mean, where they wouldn't even look at each other. They were like.
You should stick Sayed Kolasinac right at the front and get him just to look at them. That's the one.
They did crumble. While we have you, Dave, your final question from MadWire1. Why did Wenger convince Lacazette to come to Arsenal if he never truly rated him? Is Wenger just a two-faced weasel whose word ain't worth jack shit? I bet he thought we wouldn't read that out.
Absolutely. No, the answer is there were a very small number of top flight strikers who might have been available last summer. And because of the situation at Atletico Madrid, Griezmann was never go, and he was going to be the first brick that everybody else would tumble. And all of a sudden, Lacazette became available to us. And the deal, I think, was done absolutely. I don't think Wenger regrets it one moment. I think he was getting one of the only available prize strikers in Europe. And now all of a sudden he has this luxury, although I'm not too sure how much he had to do with the Aubameyang deal other than approve it. He's now got two of them when strikers generally haven't been moving. I think it's a fantastic situation for us and reflects well on the club, as it was last summer, but particularly now that the organisation appears to be changing a little.
Yeah, it's a little bit like when your parents are split up and you go to Christmas Day with your old man and he gets you an Xbox One, and then the next day, Boxing Day, you're at your mum's and she's also got you an Xbox One. You're not going to say no, are you?
I'll take your word on that one.
Are you back with us, Gav? With your Ethernet that keeps fluctuating?
Yeah.
Good. I think if we have one more question. Should we give him the last question, Gim?
Yeah, go on.
Or that one about, actually, Gim, you answer this one because I'll give it to you to read, and I think you might do a good job on it. From Miko, as Ozil sipping tea made most of the Spurs-loving media lose their marbles, what would be the Arsenal GIF or GIF of choice this time when we beat Spurs, Gimli? Yeah, what do you think?
I don't think it should change. The first one pissed enough people off that I think you do it again, it's going to piss some more people off. But I will say on that fact, you notice no one's given their Arsenal Tottenham combined 11 this time, have they? Is that because
you're kidding? It's been on Twitter all day.
Has it really? I've not.
Yeah, I think the BBC were probably the first to come out with it, but yeah, they're winding it all out again.
And just out of curiosity, how many Arsenal players made that?
I don't know. I haven't been looking at them. I just totally ignored blanking them. I think the whole concept is absolutely farcical.
It's ridiculous. There's no chemistry if you just mix them all up, is there?
No.
Are you there, Gav? What?
Can you can hear me okay?
So far.
Yeah, no, I think the BBC do this thing where you can go in and type in your players and then show everybody what your combined 11 should be. I think they're getting people to do it as opposed to journalists who are then going to cry that they're getting picked on. It's all really upsetting. I felt so sorry for him at the time.
Right, this final question from Siddharth Sidhu. He says, is 4-3-3 the way going forward with Ramsey, Wilshere and Xhaka in the middle, with Mickey, Abuma and Ozil up in the front? Looks deadly going forward. Exclamation, exclamation, question mark, question mark. That's for you, Gav, if you're still there.
I'm still here. I was unaware that was for me, mate. Yeah, I think so. It's like I say, it's until he buys a better option, because we haven't really got an out-and-out defensive midfield option. We've just got 4 or 5 players who can sort of rotate round and do little bits in in different places. There's no real sort of specialist look we've got in the squad. So, like I say, the majority of games we don't need a defensive midfielder, but it's one of those, isn't it? Give it another couple of years, just like how slow he's been getting rid of Czech. It'll be a couple of years before Wenger realises.
He won't be here, Gav. He won't be here.
He's going.
Oh,
a couple of years.
So. He's off.
If
we're on the day that he does leave, we're just going to have a live stream of you just dancing around your house in your wife front, smashing shit up.
Yeah, probably
6 hours of it.
It'd be like a one-man conga from here to like the 12 miles to the ground.
Oh dear. Right, Gimli, there you go. That's all. Thank you very much, everybody, for all the questions, and some of the questions we didn't get time to do. We've been doing 1 hour and 25 minutes, Gim.
I think that we should tell people as well that if you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to give us a like. If you don't subscribe. It means a lot to us.
Did you know that if everybody went to YouTube and then just listened to the first 2 minutes of the YouTube show, that's all it takes for us to get paid some money from YouTube, and give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It's amazing. We get like 4,000 or 5,000 people watching YouTube, and we'll only get 100. I say only 100 is really good. We get 100 odd thumbs up. But yeah, I had a little look at Google. You only need to listen, because Google own YouTube. You only need to listen for the first 2 or 3 minutes. Listen all the way through the advert, 2 or 3 minutes of the show, and then that's all you need to do. Just go and do that all day long to all of our videos, and then we'll have enough money to have Gimli a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, even if it's just setting up your own YouTube account, just subscribe to us.
Yeah, only us.
Yeah, leave your PC on for a day. If people still have PCs or laptops or wherever your fucking method is that you listen to this podcast, just leave it running all day, and then you can just listen to episode after episode after episode. Start at number 1.
You do know the problem with that is that having a computer on all day is probably going to cost them about £3 or £4 a day in electricity. So best do it on your phone, and then the phone doesn't use up any electricity. And don't use your data.
£3 or £4 a day.
It depends on how big your power supply unit. Like mine's 750 watt.
I've got 7 fish tanks and it don't cost me £4 a day to run them.
Dear, I don't know. Did Gav gone again? I know he's there.
Gav is gone.
No, I'm doing a nice thing. I'm putting it on mute because I have two young monkeys who have been running in and out of the front room.
Oh, bless you.
All night long.
Excellent.
All night long. And I'm now high on some form of sherbet powder.
Excellent.
Wait,
you'll miss them when they're at uni.
Is that what they call it nowadays, Gav?
Sure.
Well, it come with a red lolly.
Yeah. I think you need to do the predictions, and then I think we have a sponsor tonight, don't we?
Oh, I think we might do.
I think we
Got
might.
in, Gimli.
Lovely stuff. Right then, let's do the predictions for Tottenham away. Obviously, the podcast will probably go out for this Monday, Tuesday, so we can't put Ostersund's in it yet. Yeah. So let's start with you, Danny, and your prediction for Tottenham away.
What do you mean the podcast will go out Monday or Tuesday?
Well,
no, the next podcast will be on Monday or Tuesday. You made it sound like I'm only going to launch this on Monday or Tuesday. I'm going 2-2 Alderweireld from a corner because he's back and he's good. Just before we do a Sol Campbell with him.
Traitor.
I know.
David?
2-1 to the Arsenal. Skodran Mustafi from the corner before Alderweireld might get one.
Fair enough. Simon?
I'm going to go for 3-2 to Arsenal. I think Kane's going to score first, though.
Fucking dribbly chin tosser. Gav?
From a penalty.
Yeah, from a dive. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 to us and Jack.
Okay.
If Jack plays, can I do if Jack plays, he scores? Can I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll let you.
All right, and if Jack ain't starting, then I will go for Ozil.
Marvellous. I'm going 2-0 Aubameyang.
Good boy. Positive.
Right,
exactly.
2-0 Boomerang. No more. But people, can we have a moment's silence for the never hear the prediction? 2-1 Giroud again for Jeff. We need a moment's silence.
I think you should put a tumble. You should put a tumbleweed.
We can't because YouTube will copyright claim it. That's why if anyone wonders why there's no intros.
Don't believe it, Dan.
If people are wondering why there's no intros to podcasts anymore, partly you listen to that shit every single show. You don't need to hear it. Plus, no one else does it like this. Straight in, boom, Gimli's voice. And also, we had a copyright strike because there's a bit of Fatboy Slim in there, and that's why we have no music at the end. So every time we do it, we're saving you 15 seconds, aren't we, Gim?
Oh no, I like the intro. Kate did the intro to this podcast, and I
did the first one. I changed that about 2 years ago, but no, we can't have it anymore.
So why can't you change it again to make it proper?
We can't have any music in it.
Can't I just sing the intro?
No.
You can make your own ditty.
So I can't go. No.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either that or we got to get some celebrities on and go, hi, my name is, insert your famous name here, and you're listening to a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast.
We could always get some music from the She Wore unlicensed music shop. There must be one.
There must be.
There must be. But we're going to hear about that next. I'm going to go first with my shout out of the week, and it's at jslate_. He's tried to call me twice this week because we are arranging a big guest through him. All I'm saying is he is invincible. So Jimmy, a nod to you. I will give you a call tomorrow. If you're listening to this and I still haven't called you, I've probably forgotten, but I will call you at some point. But I hope you're well, bud.
He's one of your lot, this special guest, isn't he?
I believe so. He is. All I'm saying is Charlie Dimmock.
Oh, hello. All I'm going to say is I met this person after the 2005 FA Cup final, and I went, what are you doing here? He went, well, I'm a fucking gooner.
Fair enough.
That's what he said.
So there you go. If that hasn't enough given you enough clues, then I ain't going to tell you. Danny, let's have your shout out.
It's going to go to someone who is regularly entertaining all of us. It's at GUNNERBALLZ. He's one of the 3 brilliant Arsenal artists that I follow, that we always like to retweet their stuff. And he has done one of Mr. Deli Belly Ali with standing there naked while Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan are pointing at him and laughing at him. And also put the LMAO as in Lacazette, Mkhitaryan, Boomerang, and Ozil, which is, I think, it's a double whammy of hilariousness. So I've retweeted it from my account and the in. And I just noticed on Deli Belly's watch, on his right arm he has a watch, and the watch is the clock end watch. There you go, Gav. That's one for you. Start doing watches.
Don't. I have. One has researched that possibility.
Has one.
One has.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyone see that about old Deli Belly this week? Like a midget's thumb poking out of a bush.
Oh, dear. All right, next one, Gim.
Yeah, save it. Simon.
Yep, just a little bit of self-promotion for me. Company I work for on Twitter is at Haters Teamwork, HAYTERS. We have pretty much every Arsenal press conference, film it, tweet some of the nice videos, tweet the whole press conference is on YouTube if you want to watch it. Normally up there within sort of, 15 minutes of the presser this morning. So give it a follow. You can subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Yeah, that's it.
Just a quick reminder, we ain't lovers, we are haters.
Yeah,
exactly. David?
Going back to last Saturday, I went and had a nice pie and mash up Manzies at lunchtime, and then went to the 12 pins first time in ages. And I met a fella in there, absolute diamond he was, and I followed him as a result. He is on Twitter as at Egypt, which is 3 E's GIT 17. Egypt 17, real name John Flynn. And I laughed my ass off with him for about an hour and a half. Real good fella, so get and follow him.
Definitely so. Gav?
I'll say hello to my mate Davey Boyd, who's probably spending his 4th or 5th day in Twitter prison for being a naughty boy and for swearing at some celebrity.
We've had a few of that. We had Jason got suspended for a day because he called Piers Morgan the C word. Steve has been suspended. I've been suspended 3 times.
I have never been suspended. I'm just clever about the people that I cunt off.
And
I got done once for questioning Lineker's taxable mobs.
We didn't.
And it was posed as a question.
What did you ask him?
Oh, I questioned.
What did you ask him?
I just asked him a question: how he feels about dodgy tax deals and dodgy tax relief schemes. And within 5 minutes, I was banned for 24 hours.
Your lesson.
I'm disappointed in you boys.
You've never done anything, have you, David?
Absolutely not.
I should say as well, because
wink, wink.
It seems to be a bit of a reoccurring trend this week. First of all, with Granit Xhaka and now with Aaron Ramsey. Did anyone see that this week, that Aaron Ramsey posted a picture of his boy and it was just filled with insults and vulgarity?
I think that was horrible. 2016, mate. But yeah, even so, it was absolutely vile. But someone dug that up from somewhere to make a point, I think.
And the fact that Granit Xhaka has had to disable comments on his posts because there is that many thick people out there that you have to abuse your own players. I mean, what the fuck?
Not right, is it?
No, definitely not. And I tweeted this week, I think if you see someone that has atted a player, right, retweet them. Show everyone on your timeline, and you make sure that you give that person the fucking abuse that they've given the player, because it ain't right, it ain't tolerable, and unless they ain't wearing a red shirt, I won't be supporting them. Anyone that plays for Arsenal, you support. Good, bad, playing well, whatever. They are an Arsenal player, and we are a family, and you support them until they leave. Happy days.
And with that, have we got any new businesses to celebrate?
We certainly do. Gav, would you like to tell us who sponsored this show?
He's muted.
He's fucking gone again.
The kid's running again.
Bit of editing tonight, Danny. We won't ask Gav back for a while.
Jesus. Say to him, Gav, if you're going to come back, 2 things. Don't cunt anyone off. He's done that. And don't use Wi-Fi. He's using Wi-Fi. Why do we bother? Should we just wait here? What? So we're already getting every other fucking word.
Do you reckon there's someone in the living room on an exercise bike trying to work up his Wi-Fi signal?
Oh, don't. It just is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. Am I coming through okay now?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Go for it, buddy.
Right, okay, right. Well, one set up a new little shop, which is selling original replica shirts from back in the day, from the Adidas and the Nike and the Umbros when I can get hold of them, and signed stuff, which has all got certificates of authenticity from a company called All Star Signings. And that's stuff from players like Henry, Bergkamp, Adams, Seaman. There's a very nice one that's going quite reasonably from Santi Cazorla at the moment. Yeah, so I just sort of bundled them all onto the same shop, which is www.thearsenalshirts.com. And yeah, it's all trial and error, but it's good fun. You know, obviously, I spend most of my time talking to other Arsenal supporters, and we have a little chat about the shirts, and you know, bring up the odd memory about what happened that year, and etc. etc. Yeah, so it's all good fun. I'm enjoying it, and hopefully I'll carry it on because it's going well.
Didn't you say
we wish you all the best?
Did you say if people have got shirts that they want to sell, contact you?
Yeah, I mean, if you go on the website, there's the contact us, and there's also my email on the bottom left as well. If you've got any old shirts, not Puma, then I'd be willing to have a chat about offering you some money for them if you don't want them anymore. And like I say, it doesn't matter what condition they're in. Unlike other sites that sell the second-hand shirts, I'm very, very brutally honest with a shirt. If a shirt's got a hole in it, I'll take a picture of the hole and show you the hole and show you where it is. And if it's got bobbles in it or if it's worn, you know, you've got to be honest about it. And like I say, I've been saying, I think the cheapest shirt I sold was for 20 quid. And it was purely because it was an old shirt. It was like 22 years old, this shirt, but it wasn't in good condition. But, you know, people collect them, people like them, and there's a market for it, and it's just been good fun, really.
Wonderful stuff. So
yeah. Any questions for me? Any questions for me, David?
Not at the moment, buddy. Okay. Oh, you got your advert out there.
Well, it took you 3 attempts, didn't it?
Yeah, I was trying hard.
Thank you,
Simon. If people Simon's gone because he had to go at 9:30, and if people use the code ABW, they get fuck all off, and we get fuck all out of it.
Wow. Dan, whatever you like, Dan, as long as it ain't
Ethernet. Well, that's all I fucking want. I don't get it, though, do I?
No, I'd need a 30-metre long cable.
Yes, I bought Gimli a 20-metre long one. It was £6. I'll send you one.
Okay.
Right, Gim, we've been going for 1 hour 43, and David looks like he needs a wee.
That's perfect. David probably needs another beer.
Age, I'm afraid.
Oh, I got up 5 times the other night in 7 hours.
No, we don't want to hear about your pissing habit.
It was -2. I was pissing icicles. I was furious, so angry. Sorry,
you really do repulse.
Have you got an outside loo?
I might as well have.
Have you got any radiators? It should be the point. Have you got like a heating system in place then?
Just my own love and warmth for Wenger.
And that's only when he pisses the bed. Right. All that's left then is to thank my wonderful guests tonight. David, Gav, Simon, Danny. Of course, you had to be here.
And well done. This is now 300 shows in a row you've turned up for.
And you know, I've had 2 colds on the bounce in a month, and I've turned up for both. And obviously everything that's been going on, which the listeners don't need to know about, but you know, I feel that I'm putting in a shift. at the moment.
Good lad.
I'm
It's
putting
like
it
Braveheart. They can take your soul, but they never take your freedom.
exactly.
Keep it up, Gimli.
So that was a Bergkamp Wonderland podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and keep it Arsenal. Good night.
Get down, cat.
And here's some more shenanigans after the podcast ended.
And keep it Arsenal. Good night.
Get down, cat.
Oh, thank you very much. Quality as always.
Well done, all.
Sorry about that, Dan. I do apologise.
No, you don't. You don't fucking care. You didn't care when you started this 7 years ago, and you don't fucking care now.
Get down, Danny.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Oh, don't come with me with the innocent looking. Oh, I'm sorry. You're a bad man, and the listeners will complain. I'm going to give them your personal phone number so they can all
buy a shirt off of him.
Yeah.
Have you got a whole load of them then, David?
Yeah, absolutely. Going back years. Yeah,
Are you like a closet carpenter of shirts?
Probably not to the same degree, but I've got a chunk of them going back to. I always kept my old Umbro from the 1970.
Oh, nice.
1970s because I wore it to most of the cup finals that I went to thereafter. So there's no way I'd get it on me now. I think it was a medium. I was like 11.5 stone, fit as a butcher's dog. But yeah, absolutely. So these days, the old double extra large.
Framed, Dave.
Hey?
Get it framed up, mate.
I have got a couple. I've got a couple. I've got to get framed up because I've got the 89 at Anfield signed by Tony Adams.
Oh,
I've
nice.
got the 71 cup final signed by Charlie George, and I've got the when we played Chelsea in the League Cup final at Cardiff. Carling gave a load of tickets to the supporters clubs, so I've got that season shirt signed by Charlie and Sammy Nelson, who did a big presentation beforehand for us. So I've got to get the first two signed. I'm not sure framed, but I'm not sure about the third one.
Oh, nice one.
You can leave that in the extras. That's interesting. I've got probably 15 or 20 shirts. From my very first season, 87, 88, I had the home shirt. My dad had the away. So next season, I had the next one they changed. I had the home. My dad had the away. Then I stopped going with my dad, and then I bought all the shirts up to about 2002, when I remember sitting in the car on the hottest day of the year after we did the 2002 one, and I was sweating like a pig, and I was wearing polyester, and it didn't fit, and I thought, fuck it, I'm not buying any more shirts. It was itchy.
I think I stopped having them because I was born in August, so every year from sort of the age of about 15, 16, my mum bought me an Arsenal shirt for my birthday.
Yeah.
And when it got to about 2002, I was like, Mum, look, I'm 30 now. I haven't worn one in about 4 years. I just wear it around the house. I said, it's about time you stop doing it, sort of thing. But like I say, oddly, they're the ones that are most, go quickest on the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Are the ones literally between 87 and 2002. They're the ones that go the best, really. So I think it's very, very hard to sort of work it out. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I started this with me and my missus thinking, right, we can clear a big load of space out if we sell most of our shirts, just keep a couple of ones that are sentimental, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And we've ended up with we've got about 50 in the house now. So
got back all the ones you banged out.
Well, yeah, basically, yeah.
I have to say, the ones I haven't got, there aren't many, but the two away ones that I should have had and I didn't was obviously the green and blue one and the bruised banana. I never bought them when they came out.
Oh,
Lee Chapman, John Devine, green and blue.
Yeah.
I've been. Wow. I've done a deal with a fella to buy. He's got the bruised banana. He's got the one, I think it was the year after, with the 3 Adidas stripes coming down.
The Paul Merson one, as I always like to refer to it.
And he's got the green and blue one, all originals.
Don't give away any details because this is interesting extras.
All right. I don't, basically, but you see, I asked for a few pictures of the green and blue one, and it's you would call it average condition if you're being generous. Do you know what I mean? The fella's obviously had his. I mean, I like seeing the shirts. Look, I've got.
He's a painter and decorator, and he's worn it to work.
Yeah, no, it ain't that bad. Do you know what I mean? But it's like it's like when I looked at some of my old shirts, I was thinking, I don't really want a lot for this because I wore this in the sort of like the early 90s, and I've got me wear out of it, and I've had me fun in it, and it's still in good nick, and that's that. But it's like sometimes I see shirts at the moment that are 20 years old, they're brand new, never been worn, and you kind of think, what was the point in having it in the first place? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But like I say, luckily now it can go to a good home, and there's plenty of people out you like you, David, that are actual serious shirt collectors.
Mm.
And like I say, I mean, but yeah, this fella, he's ended up. He said, "Look, you can have the green and blue one, and you know, tell me what you think when you got it. I don't want any money for it."
Mm.
So, but
good.
Yeah, but like I say, the Holy Grail, if you're keeping this in, Dan, is the gold one with the Dreamcast on it.
I always imagine Wiltord wearing that. I don't know why.
We wore, like I say, it was worn twice. It was worn for the semi-final against Sheffield United at Old Trafford, and it was worn away to West Brom. And like I say, one of my mates has actually got one, and he's got it in perfect mint condition. And he said that he literally used to every home game he would walk in the shop at Finsbury Park Station. He said, and he only ever saw that shirt on sale once. So for one game, that shirt was on sale. And I think really, like I say, apart from the obvious very old ones like that you've got, David, that is probably one of the rarest shirts out there, I would have thought.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
One of the rarest shirts out there. And if anybody's got a match-worn one, bloody hell.
There'll be one somewhere, you know that.
Yeah, someone's got one. I just want to see one.
Arsenal one will have one, I'll bet. Anyway, boys, I'll get away because otherwise, if I don't get back in the old coffin before sunrise, I'm in real trouble. All right. Been brilliant. Love
Cheers, David.
Pleasure, David.
Ta-da.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
See you, David.
I've asked Chris for a picture. He had a picture of all of his shirts on a railing. So I've asked him for a picture of it, and I thought I'll send it to you, Gav, when I get it.
Oh, nice one. I tell you also has got a very good collection.
Yeah.
Brew City.
No.
I think he's an American fellow. I think he runs the Milwaukee Arsenal Supporters Club.
Is that Brew City Gooners?
Yeah. But he put up one yesterday. Every Wednesday he wears a different Arsenal shirt to work.
Oh, was that one where it's a load of pictures and you retweeted it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I retweeted that today. In fact, I even commented on, but wow.
Yeah. He was like I say, he was interested in that Dreamcast, the gold Dreamcast off my mate. He said that's one of two that he hasn't got in his size. So he's got a brilliant collection.
Yeah, but then you got to be thinking as a collector. Back in the day, it was you'd bring out a new home kit maybe every 3 or 4 years, wasn't it? And then in between that, you'd have a new away kit. But now when it's 4 new kits a season, you're thinking, well, I can't keep up this collection because that's a few £100 every time.
You have player issue ones now where the clubs sell the exact same ones that the players would wear. And they sell replicas, which are the cheaper ones. So you can buy, like, go into like the Arsenal shop now, buy this year's shirt for 50 quid, the normal replica one, or you can buy the player one, which is about 100 quid. You're not hearing me, are you?
Yeah, about £100. I'm just thinking, who would spend £100 on a bloody shirt when you know it's only you can only wear it for less than 12, or about 12 months, and it's gone again. That's the first thing they should do.
The thing is, though, is if you go 20 Arsenal games a year and you wear an Arsenal, that's nothing. Do you know what I mean? But whereas if you don't wear the shirt to a game, or you only wear it over the park or whatever, I don't really see the point.
How about Arsenal socks? I've got about 3 pairs of those. They've not been washed in 30 years.
Or people will buy them just to smell them.
Bet
Anyway.
they would.
I want to go so I can say goodnight to my
Little ones. Lovely. Okay, well, shame we couldn't hear you for most of the show, but
Oh, Danny, give over.
people are going to be listening going, I don't know, they're going to have to tweet you to find out what the hell you were on about.
fair one. I do.
He apologises and breaks up as he says it.
I just love you so much.
Oh, dear. All right, then.
Speak to you soon.
Cheers,
Cheers.
Gav. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You didn't tease people enough about who's coming on.
No, there's been plenty of opportunity to tease.
Oh.
Don't you worry about that.
Oh, how about a name for the show? I haven't got a name for it.
I don't know.
People on the writing skills.
Are
you extremely stoned and your brain's not working?
Yeah, I am. To be honest with you, this is like the first night in 4 days that I've been able to get properly stoned. I've had to cut back. It's not been good. It's been good.
So about a title. And people
but-
can listen to how we come up with a title.
A title, I don't know. I used to like the bit of this podcast where we just used to randomly ring people on Skype. I did see the other day, though, that one of our listeners said that we should have a Ask Gimli question, a segment on the podcast where people ring, well, not ring up, but people send their agony aunt questions in.
Yeah.
And I get to give them my brutal answer.
In the extras.
Yeah.
Oh, we could do that next week.
We could do that next week. So if you've actually made it to the extras, you've probably fallen asleep. But if you are still listening to this bit, just DM us your Ask Gimli questions, and I'll try and come back next week with some answers and do the old agony aunt thing. I think that would be fun.
I think it would do. How about a play on Ozil drinking a cup of tea for the title? They'd want something Spurs relevant, wouldn't they?
Would they? I thought the Spurs relevant one would be next week, and that's all dependent on if we beat them. Not saying that we won't. I'm confident.
Yeah, I suppose.
What did we talk about this week? Mkhitaryan, Ramsey. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Really.
How about what's occurring, Ramsey? Because what's occurring? That was that Welsh thing, wasn't it?
What's occurring, Aaron?
Okay, so how do we spell this? WHATSOCCURING. Aaron. Occurring. This fucking thing keeps telling me to do it in American, and every time I update Firefox, which is about once a week at the moment, it forgets all your bloody settings.
Well, so like, what's occurring, Aaron? Oh, sorry, Aaron.
Aaron. Misspelling of occurring. OCCURRING.
Yep, that's how I would spell it.
Thesaurus. Occur. Right, and now where's the expanded versions of occur? Proceed, stop, and hide. No. It's a verb. That's good.
Aaron, what's occurring?
Yeah, that's it. Hey, Aaron.
No, it's got to be oh.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Like, trust me, from someone that lives here, it is actually a thing. A lot of people do go, oh.
So
I've not heard anyone say, what's occurring?
So it's after the Aaron, there's a comma, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh, comma.
OCCURR. It says occurring is spelled OCCURRING. So with my Asperger's, I tend to spell things as they sound, which fucking is atrocious at times.
Kate is very good with words and
I know.
spellings. She proofreads most of my tweets when I'm arguing with people. Like,
So you don't look at
no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. Straight up, she doesn't really. It was just funny for the extra.
Does. No, she does.
She doesn't.
Does like pop star? You have to have them approved.
No, she doesn't. I'm fucking arguing.
Oh, Aaron, what's occurring?
Apart from when I'm arguing with that fucking idiot Tom, I can do all my own spelling now.
Oi, stop your
Right,
nonsense.
hey, how do you spell occurring? OCC URING.
It's double R. She's close.
He says it's double R. Danny says it's double R. Yeah, she's gonna have a look for you now.
I'm looking already. So Peter, if you're still listening and you want to know what that is from, it's from James Corden when he was funny, and it was called
and not a prick.
And not
we should point out
an
that he was
annoying
funny
twat.
and not a prick.
Yeah. What was the show called?
Gavin and Stacey.
Gavin
Great
and Stacey.
Great show.
And we had Gavin on tonight.
We did. I see. I like the way this shit has come together already.
Synchronicity.
Ah.
Oh, Alan, what's occurring?
Oh,
no
Alan,
one's going to get that.
what's occurring? And plus, it's because we have a resident Welshman, not me, on the show.
So I put it in quotation marks as well.
Yeah.
See if sometimes the title doesn't like it if you put shit in like that.
It doesn't like a lot of things. Fuck it.
Fuck it all. Save draft.
What the hell?
Right, so now I can go and weave my gentleman's wand.
I like that. I like the way we've got that. And I don't think just for the sake of being funny and lazy, don't edit it. Don't edit it.
No.
No, don't edit it. Just
makes
leave it
people
exactly
lovers.
how it is.
Oh yes. Dear that my voice was going, so the only drink I've got in here is Lucozade Zero because there's no sugar in it, and so I had that, and then I didn't even know that a burp was coming, but at times my voice was going, and I thought, oh, is it? Yes.
But just for the record, and the listeners will have no clue, don't include what you put at the start of the podcast because there's things that I've said and things that Gav has said that, although not offensive to anyone, that we would both prefer didn't go out live.
Just because you two have got an affair going on with each other, and he dresses up as Strutter and you dress up as Spider-Man, that's your own business.
I get him to put on the glasses and his underpants.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he put them on back to front?
No. Sometimes turns them inside out when he hasn't washed them for a while. But apart from that, no, we good, fam.
I'll get another month out of these.
Yeah. Jesus. Oh.
So we were at home against Everton, weren't we? So that one goes over there. Yes.
How's the predictions league looking? Am I any closer to the top of the table?
How much money have you got? And I can make it so.
Oh, none.
You're fat then.
You know, I should say, right, this week, it's been terrible, right? First day, fucking parking ticket in the car park. No, straight up, this was, right? Because I went to the machine. I had a £5 note and 3 £1 coins. To park all day is £3.50. Didn't take notes. What am I supposed to do? Supposed to be there in 10 minutes. Can't do anything else. Put the £3 in the machine. Fucking put the ticket on the car. Fucking runs over by an hour. Ticket. Today, out and about, just fucking loitering on the side of the street and drop a cigarette butt on the floor. Enforcement officer, £75 fine. Happy days. Happy days.
Well, why didn't you run away or beat him up? Why don't you go Twitter on him?
He was fucking. I'm not even being funny, but the geezer was fucking huge.
Was he a lump?
Oh, wasn't he just?
That suits you, sir.
Suits you, sir. He was a fucking unit. I think to myself, why have you got to be employed as what you do, right? And be so massive for it. Do you go down the gym and go, right, I'm going to pick on people that have dropped cigarette ends and I'm going to need to look like fucking the Incredible Hulk just to do it? No, you look like a bell end. People still think you're a bell end because you hand out £75 fines when people put their cigarette butts out on the street.
Yeah, so you shouldn't smoke then, should you? Give up. Bad for you.
Fuck you.
You have to give up one day.
I don't want to give up. I like smoking too much, to be honest with you. It's become a habit. Well, I say not a habit. It's just a way of life.
Just how you roll.
Well, yeah, literally it is.
People can't hate you for the way you roll, like me.
I mean, most people don't know that I do this show off my tits most of the states.
I think they've gathered by now.
But what a good host for someone that's off their tits. I mean, not blowing any trumpets or anything. Wouldn't say best in the business, because I think there are better out there.
Name some.
Not any from that Highbury and Eels lot.
Oi.
Who puts Gary Lineker on a podcast? Yeah, with special guest next week, Gary Mabbott. Fucking idiots. Gary Mabbott.
They're the views of Gimli, not me. I like all of them.
They're fucking idiots.
I didn't listen though.
Who's a better host? I would say old Andrew Arsblog's a better host.
He doesn't count. He's just the godfather of podcasting.
No, he's the podfather.
That's it. He can't compare.
There is nothing compare. Nothing can compare.
He's the Sinead O'Connor of the podcasting world.
Exactly, he is. I like what Andy and Mike do over at Gooners in USA.
They touch each other while they're doing it.
Yeah, they do, and they make memes of him sitting on a sponge in a bath.
Craig and the Judge, they have a synchronicity going on. That's good.
It's not bad.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. There isn't really a host of the Tuesday Club, but I would have to say the Tuesday Club is probably my favourite podcast. I'm always eagerly awaiting that. And you live by the theory that it's not out very often. So when you get an edition of it, you're like, oh. I'm like fucking a cokehead on a line when they release one of their podcasts.
You're like a lion with a bottle of Coke.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, the people have been moaning about the last few, saying they've just been shit. I suppose you get out of the knack of doing it.
I like them. I think whatever they do turns to gold.
I like it.
I know.
I like everything.
Aren't any other Arsenal podcast? Are there any other Arsenal podcasts that we like?
Well, I like all of them because that's the kind of person I am. I'm not going to say anything. You stop being mean. I'm telling my mum.
I don't think there are no other Arsenal podcasts out there, are there?
Oh, there's loads. There's
not relevant ones.
Yeah, I was on one at the weekend.
Shouldn't have included that fucking heels lot in that either.
Stop being mean.
I was at Anfield 89, don't you know? That's too posh for a start. That's a bad impression.
Anfield
89, you cunt.
Yeah, you don't want that to go in the extras there.
To be honest with you, Danny, week I've had, I'm beyond caring. I've got some new friends now. I'm fucking protected, yeah.
You got I can't even go into that.
No, you can't. Fucking funny. Oh, the laugh we doth have.
Yeah, right, you ready? Where's my it's not in there, is it? I've got a list of Arsenal podcasts.
You're on a fucking list.
I'm on a few lists. Here we go, Arsenal podcasts. Currently there's 64 on there. 3 Blokes Talking Arse.
Don't know them. Reel them off. You can have my honest opinion.
That was the Scottish Gooner Dylan, I think it was.
This could be a good segment. Don't say I can't speak ill. Don't know.
Arse to Mouse.
Again, don't really know them.
Arsblog, we know. Arsenal America.
You gotta let me say something nice. When there's nice things to say, there's it isn't just all cunting people off. It's a two-way street, Danny. You can't.
Of which you're parked sideways, cunting off the locals.
I'm not just about giving out negative feedback to people.
I think you find you are. Right, Arsenal America.
No, you haven't let me say anything nice about Arsblog yet.
You don't need to. We all know everyone feels. Well, go on then, Arsblog.
Podfather. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Arsenal America. Didn't you go on that?
Arsenal America. To be honest with you, I've smoked so much I can't remember. I don't really get asked to do them much anymore.
Arsenal Clock End Talk.
That's Schwinn. Yeah, we like Schwinn. Yeah, Schwinn's good. We like Schwinn.
I can't remember. I should put next to them who does it. Arsenal First Pod.
Arsenal First. Arsenal. Who does Arsenal First? Hit me with some names.
I don't know. I don't have names. I just have the name of them, and they're ats.
What names? What numbers?
All right, next one. Arsenal Match TV.
No.
Next one is John's Arsenal MIA. That was in Miami. I've been on there. It's good. Good bloke. Not doing many lately.
I'll take your word for it.
Arsenal in My Blood. Is that still going?
No, I don't believe that's going. But Stevie, I spoke to Stevie this week. Fucking
Yeah.
lovely bloke. Yeah, you can't go wrong with a bit of Stevie Hurst.
Arsenal Review USA. What happened to that?
Don't know.
No,
I do kind of think that you should like put a cross through some of these names because you're just adding podcasts to it. And like before you know, oh yeah, there's 106 Arsenal podcasts out there. No, we don't know which ones are folded. You should have done your homework. I feel you've come into this half.
They were, but then
done
so many
job.
go and then come back. Like Tuesday Club went and come back. Right, the next one, Arsenal Autopsy.
Well, isn't that just a diabolical name for a podcast? I mean, come on. I mean, their content might be good, but who thought that that was a good name for a podcast? Kate, one word. Kate, one word, right? Podcast, right? Arsenal Autopsy. Your thoughts on this, please. Isn't that a fucking atrocious name for a podcast? Whoever it is, I'm sure you're a nice bloke, but change your name. It's fucking Arsenal Autopsy. Why don't I call it Arsenal fucking vasectomy?
Because you're not cutting its knob off, you're pulling it apart.
Sometimes we do play a bit knobless.
You farted, it smells.
No, I haven't farted.
Oh, their last tweet was in 2016.
Oh, they're probably dead then. Go on, move on. Well, actually, that's quite fitting, isn't it? Arsenal Autopsy, dead.
Arsenal Vision. I think
I think
Mark,
they've got a couple of hitters on there. Can't say anything nasty about them. Bad press. Think about that.
I think Mark, who does the running, I think he does their I think he does something. Does their injuries? Not Gunner Runner, the other one.
Standout
Mark
podcast.
Fine.
Standout podcast. Lovely bloke. That's all I'm saying.
Arsenal's Voice.
Nope.
Let's see the last time they did a tweet. Some of these could be new that we've never heard of. The last, I don't even think they've got. Oh, here we go. Arsenal's Voice is the last one they did was February the 6th. Oh, they're still around. Maybe they're new. That's why we've not heard of them.
They're relevant.
Yes, so maybe they're new. That's why we haven't heard of them. The next one, ASCFR, which is Arsenal. It's French one. Remember John Nightack?
Yes,
that's an Arsenal podcast just done in French. I don't know if they do it anymore.
To be honest with you, I'm all about foreign fans, but podcasting foreign does
asking for trouble.
It is asking for trouble. I can't go on that. If I can't partake and listen, then I can't enjoy it. I'm sure the content is amazing, but I fucking barely grasp English, let alone French. So,
Clock In Talk, no idea.
That might be Schwinn.
Ah.
Either way, one of them's Schwinn, and he's a bloody good bloke, and his podcast is good.
Daily Cannon.
Daily Cannon.
Maybe that's the one Mark Fine works with.
Well, if it is, go and listen to it. Bloody nice bloke.
Drunk Dial
nice.
Square.
Oh, anything to do with that prick.
I don't think
Let me guess.
It's his.
Let me guess. They got about 56 sister podcasts.
No, I don't think it's got anything to do with the Dial Square bloke.
Just so he can fucking retweet his podcast from other accounts and say what a good job he's made of it. Pat on the back for you, Dean. You absolute fucking idiot.
Here we go. One Football-tastically Arsenal. That's where Jeff goes to moonlight.
It is. I speak to. To be honest with you, I speak to Josh from there, and old Luke Kempner does a bit. Who's been on ours. I'm not necessarily a fan of Boyd. I think he's a bit of a gimp, but
talks over people too much.
He does talk over people too much. But yeah, I'd easily say I was a better host than him.
There's one you've never heard of. It's called Ginger Greek. It's a bloke. He lives in London. He's got his ironing board in the background. He just sits there talking over the game as he's watching it.
To be honest with you, I think he should make it less about his hair colour and his nationality and more about Arsenal. What are you thinking, fella? Ginger Geek? Just because Ed Sheeran made it cool, it doesn't make you relevant.
Here's one I was on with Chig. Guna Eagle Eye. He's doing quite well. He's sort out his audio. Don't have a headset one. It looks like he's melting into the sofa, poor bloke. It looks like he's having a bad back by the end of it. You know, who is it? When Jace is doing the radio show and eventually all you see is his eyebrows.
Yeah.
It's much like that. It's a good show. I was on that.
Is that a new podcast? Because to be honest with you, his physical condition. I mean, after podcasting for 5 years on Arsenal, I'm fucking mentally shot in the head.
It's not good. Then the Gooner Girls is gone. That's no more.
I'd like to say nice things, but I can really only say nice things about one person with that. The rest of them, oh my God, go suck a dick.
Oh Jesus! That's your thoughts only for when it goes to court, or I get a Twitter ban. Gooners in the USA. I've never heard of them. Have you heard of them?
No.
No.
Irrelevant.
Gooner News.
We should say we have heard of them. We both appeared, and it is a great podcast. Lovely people. Give it a listen.
Gooner News TV. I think that's Liam's, isn't it? Liam don't do it anymore.
No.
I always get Liam's one and the other one mixed up.
Is that Liam Edwards?
Yeah.
He gets about a bit of boy, doesn't he?
He's no stranger to a bit of travel.
He's fucking everywhere. Last time I saw him with fucking Nile Rodgers on Millennium. Well, not Millennium, but New Year's Eve. I think, where the fuck? His profile picture before that was with Anthony Joshua. I think, who are you sucking off to meet these people?
No one. Goonosphere.
Yeah, we like them. Old Stokes and fucking
Cowan.
Cowan, that's it. Thank
Jock.
you.
We've stolen Devon off them a couple of times.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, nothing bad to say about them. Bloody nice blokes.
One called Goonatastic. It doesn't even have a Twitter at. Goonatastic.com.
They're failing miserably. You got to have a Twitter at. It's just.
Here's one I think you know. Gunners Down Under.
Yes, and I want to say not Mike, Matt Bonici.
There's two of them.
Matt Bonici.
Any relation to Debucci?
No, completely. Debucci.
Yeah, they're still going. They're still doing stuff. I've had a few listens. It's pretty good.
Could be fair play. Not asked me though, so missing a trick.
A voice was going again. Guns and Yellow Ribbons.
Guns and Yellow Ribbons. I mean,
Never heard
wow.
of it. Maybe that's an actual thing.
Again with that Arsenal and autopsy thing.
Oh, they're new. Or maybe they're new. Because they've just done my tweet 15. Oh, they've only done 10 shows.
On that aspect, why don't we call this podcast The Cannon and Crust in a tribute to Piebry Corner and the Cannon? Let's get two Arsenal things that are totally unrelated and fucking put them together in a name. That's what they've done there, and it's failed.
Well, they're nice and
best of luck to them. I'm sure they're all lovely guys.
They've done 10 shows and their tweets are very good. It says their SoundCloud, their iTunes, and lots of hashtags and very easy to go and look for. Yep, that gets my nod of approval.
They are messing about. If they've gone fucking YouTube, iCloud, SoundTunes, and all that, fucking yeah.
They're doing it proper.
Yep. Lovely
Right.
stuff.
Les Petits Goonerettes.
Oh, fucking hell.
Is that even a thing?
I'm guessing that's a French podcast for girls. As in, not for girls, but a French podcast by girls.
Well, geez, their last tweet, September 2014.
I mean, to be honest with you, I'd get slaughtered.
There's still 6 people I know following them.
How many followers they got?
410.
Never really took off from them, did it? Next.
No harm in trying, people. Let's chat Arsenal. Now, wasn't that Akib's?
I haven't got a bad word to say about Akib.
Or was Akib's Let's Talk Arsenal? Or was Akib's Let's Talk Arsenal?
Cunt never asked me on it, did he? Don't take offence. Cunt. I'm not. Because
did a few shows. Yeah, Akib knows we're joking. This Let's Chat Arsenal is last tweet was January 2014. Another one in the bin.
And
Let's
it
talk
seemed to me you lived your life like a podcast in the bin.
Akib's one was Let's Talk Arsenal because I remember he's got his username in his YouTube because I got the link for it. This other one we can't mention because it's a certain person from South America. Well, best we move on. Name might be John.
Oh.
Right, next one.
Irrelevant.
Online Gooner. I think that's a pretty big one.
Was that Fan TV? Were you going on to say Fan TV then? Don't edit out Fan TV just so you don't get my fucking vitriol.
No, they're cool. Their at is Gooner Fanzine. As I was saying, Gooner Fanzine. Yeah, so they're still going strong.
What's with AFTV and their Gooner Fan Park thing?
Gooner
Fan Park. Who's thought of that name as well? Yeah, the only kind of park that they're in is like a pedo on a bench.
Lovely. Our lot in Block 5, I think that started last season, and that's some people I know on it.
Don't know them, so I can't give my opinion.
Older gentlemen, I think, were on there. people of my vintage. Yeah, they've done a tweets recently. Not sure if they've done any shows recently. Yeah, but I heard that a couple of times. I thought it was all right. Lots of old blokes moaning. That's why I liked it. Pain in the Arsenal.
See what they've done there? They've got a good name. I like what they've done there. They get the Gimli seal of approval for that name.
Are they still going? That's the thing. That's what we need to know.
Are they?
Their last tweet was 2 hours ago.
Oh,
are they a podcast? These are the ones that I've spoken to these. I tried to listen, but their only link is via iTunes. And if you don't have iTunes, you can't go and listen to it. So these people need to put it on YouTube or put it on SoundCloud or something. So then other people, because I wanted to listen to it. They sent us a tweet actually saying, have a listen, see what you think. And I always do have a listen, but I couldn't. Yeah,
I do find that sad when people only put their shows on iTunes. It's like, not everyone is on iTunes.
No,
You've got to take account. And if we can give one piece of advice, just get SoundCloud because it's so much easier.
Yeah, or just if anybody needs to know how to put your video on YouTube free, convert it to a video, you let me know and I'll sort you out.
And if you don't have SoundCloud, just give up because you'll probably fail.
This one, remember the Podolcast? That was Steve Rogers and somebody else.
Steve Rogers, there's a blast from the past.
Oh, he's still around.
Is he still around?
He's still there being weird. And who's that other one? Beloved Rascal, I think. And there was a Scottish person involved. Yeah, so that died a death. Podolcast, a good name.
That's a shame because with old Steve's sick humour, I think that could have, as a podcast, that could have really gone some places.
Could have done. Same old Arsenal. That's
Lee. That's, no, not. I love them both. Lovely
still
stuff.
Going. Soccer Yanks. Is that Soccer Yanks was Dan, wasn't it?
Danu.
Soccer Yank Dan. I think this might have been one of the ones that stopped and then started again. Just having a look. No, dead on its arse. Unfortunately, last tweet was, they said, we're giving it all up, and that was December 2016.
Sad.
Yes.
It's like there should be like a little Arsenal podcast graveyard.
Yeah, I think that was Joe Quinn, Joe Shim, Joe Quinn.
Whacking.
That's probably it. Yeah, it was him. I remember that one. Sons of Arshavin.
Oh,
what? I like that name.
I think very much like the bad man himself. They probably hit the vodka and fucking just gave up.
Well, their last tweet was the 16th of Jan last year, and the one before that was December the year before. It says their Twitter, by following, you are agreeing to join the Andres motorcycling gang.
Christ.
Oh, dear. Good. But you can't name it after a player who isn't going to be famous with Arsenal forever. No. Suburban Gooners. I think they're still going. I've listened to a few of theirs. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't mind them.
I think Chris was one of them. Not our Chris, another Chris.
Suburban Gooner Chris.
That was it. That's why.
I would imagine from his name, he probably was.
Yes.
Next.
The next one is talking through the arse.
Again.
Oh, you know that was, didn't you? Yeah. Oh, Meerkat himself.
Was it really?
Yeah, he did it with an Irish bug and then they fell out.
What a deluded shit cunt that bloke is. Oh.
They won like 80 tweets. Last known was their review of Arsenal v Basel. Remember back in the days we were in the Champions League?
Oh, them days. Those days are
December
gone.
2016.
All I hear is like from fucking the Meerkat is shit, wob, shit, AKB.
We've only got about another 20 to go through. I'll just quickly go from the fourth best podcast. That's a new one. The 86ers podcast. That was Funky Chris's. The AFC Lock-In was another one that Steve that we used to work with did. The Arsenal Opinion is Le Grove. That's pretty good. The Clock End podcast. The Gooner Talk. Gooner Ramble. Is it two rambles?
Giles doesn't like me from the Gooner Ramble because I called him. This is a true story as well. I called him a cunt on this podcast in an affectionate way, in the same way that I called a keeper cunt about 10 minutes ago, and he took offence to it.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm yeah.
And I don't get me wrong, I didn't mind Giles. I thought Giles was a
very
lovely
good.
bloke. But
As is their show.
unfortunately now, I can no longer endorse his products.
Well, I do endorse it. The Beautiful Grown. And their URL is The Beautiful Grown Arsenal Podcast. I've never heard of it. The Broken Cannon. That was Kyle's. They only ever did one episode.
Kyle. Remind me, Kyle.
Kyle
yes. Of course, Kyle.
What
happened to him? Is he still about?
He went Twitter quiet. He's still around. He still listens, but he's Twitter quiet. Probably for the best, because Twitter's a cesspit of hate.
It is. As you listen to the end of this podcast.
The Clockcast.
No.
The Gooner Family.
Nope.
The Kilted Cannon. That was some YouTube vlogs that Jockman did. I thought they were really good. Sometimes 5 or 6 minutes, but with a new baby, he gave it all up. It is Joachim or Joachim. How did you say it? Joaquin. It's the Morning Pint.
Yes, that's
I was
it.
on that.
I have been on the Morning Pint in their first couple of shows. Never invited me back. Must have been a shit guest.
Yeah. The Steve Spald Collective. Never heard of them.
Don't know who that is.
Tuesday Club. Never heard of them.
Bloody nice blokes.
They're Purely Arsenal.
Yeah, they're all right. Really nice blokes, them lot.
The Triangle Gooners. They were created by our very own Mr. Global Cannon, Mr. Shredder.
And also Mr. Colton, who stayed at Chez Gimli.
Oh, is it Joe Colton? Or John
Colton. Colton. And his lovely partner Emmeline.
Oh. Did they steal any of your animals?
They wanted to steal some of the cats, but unfortunately they couldn't get them into hand luggage. I was saying take them. You just pick which one you want, because cats are snidey.
We've got 3 more to go. True Gooner.
Never heard of it.
It's a YouTube only one. Up Gunner's Pigeon. Which is, I think he's Nigerian. And I think he is aiming for that Nigerian market, because that is a huge market for Arsenal. I listened to it and it didn't really make much sense. Not that it was bad, but it's not really aimed for me.
I've noticed there's a lot of Nigerian Arsenal fans.
Yes, we are huge in Africa.
And we certainly are.
More the merrier.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say. More the merrier.
Shirts. And finally, Yamacast. You are my Arsenal.
Oh, Michael Price, whose birthday it was either today or last week.
Happy birthday, Michael, if you're listening that you won't be. We need to get him on.
Yeah, he did agree to come on, actually.
He can do it from a bus, or driving with his car with the thing going bing, bing, bing. Put your seatbelt on all the way through. That didn't work out well.
No, it really didn't, did it?
I'm sure there's some I've missed off, but there's that's 64 there.
64 podcasts. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, you know who the real winners are in this? The listeners, if they've actually sat through that.
You should get some
but if I have offended you, don't bother tweeting me, because I'm too old, too long.
Well, I told Giles you didn't mean it that way, but I think you irked him.
I only called him a cunt.
He doesn't know that you don't mean it that way.
For some people, that's a term of endearment.
Not on Twitter, it isn't.
No, I didn't call him a cunt on Twitter, did I?
Go and tweet me and say, "Oh, I love you, you fat cunt," and see how long it is before you get banned for tweeting me when I've told you to. They don't give a fuck. They'll ban you.
But they only ban me if you complain. And to be honest with you, if you complain, you're grass.
No, it's because someone. I think it was either Dom or Jeff or Shredder was saying that in America, the C word is the worst word you can use to anybody, but over here we can use it as a word of endearment.
They need to fucking.
Well, they don't, because it's an American company and their algorithm is American.
It's just a shame that they can't import the way that we speak. Like, Danny, I hope you've had a wonderful day, you fat retard.
Oh dear! Haven't you got some deep fat fried fuck ends to get yourself to?
No, I'm having bacon. To be honest, on a podcast night, I'm now so snowed under. I don't go for proper food. Bacon sandwich it is tonight, quick and easy.
Oh,
Happy days.
Oh, Sean back to uni on Saturday. So Mia and her mum had Chinese from Cinter in God, Manchester. And after it cost me 30 odd quid. And after we ate it, they went, "Do you like that?" I said, "No, I'd rather have had a bacon sandwich."
Really?
I'd much rather. I just don't fancy Chinese. I'm going through phases.
I do like China. You see, problem with Wales is they can't do Chinese food.
They've mastered Chinese. That's why
they've mastered many things like digging coal and shit like that, and even their own language. None of them speak. But fucking Chinese food, they have not mastered it. When we go back home to Oxford, I make sure that we have a Chinese because it's 10 times nicer than any of the muck you get here. I really wonder what planet they were on when they created Chinese food.
And I think that's a perfect way to end this show after 2.5 hours, most of which has been you cunting off other podcasts. Oh, and the last person to tweet us?
Who?
At the Colston. Is that your mate?
The Colston?
Colston. Oh, I see Rocco.
No.
Oh, John Colston, I thought it was. No.
Colton. Colton. It's not difficult.
It is when you're not listening. Right, say goodbye to the listener.
Goodbye, listeners.
And I will end it there. Right, cheers. You can fuck off now.
Thank you very much. I shall see you again later.
So Monday or Tuesday, we need to make our mind up.
We'll decide. I'll tell you what, best thing to do is put it in the group, see who's available either Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll go from there. I think you'll have, if we win against Tottenham, you'll have a lot of takers. If we don't win against Tottenham, it's going to be pretty shit. In fact, if we don't win against Tottenham, we should just strike.
That'll work. Right. Cheers, Matchday, and goodbye.
All right. Goodbye. I shall see you later. Bye-bye.